My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. This is the exact same circumstance this morning. This is Robert Rivera engaging in conspiracy to murder. He's gang stalking. This is Impossible Light. It's 3 o'clock and it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Remember, the entity has the fake sun outside of the Ramada by Wyndham in perfect alignment with my room. The demon possessed that are engaged in gang stalking are doing so while that fake sun is in alignment with my room on the 3rd floor off of G Street. And the entity has what is impossible light inside of 2301 South Euclid Avenue. There's a covered structure out there. This is a demon. His name is Robert Rivera. He's gang stalking with the city of Ontario. That is the state of California. And he's doing so pursuant to what is knowledge about it being documented as well. That's impunity with regard to conspiring the murder of an American citizen that you're gang stalking. All right. This is shared by Tracy Banks. This is shared by Jason Isaac Fields. This is shared by the government that is targeting while a demon whose name I know. This is what Tracy Banks was doing to me while I was in her apartment. Okay. The entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct and monitoring in that private space that is shared, that's an unlawful threat posed by that entity. This is engineer light pointing in all manner of directions. All right. And by the way, it's also demonic. This engineer light that you see concentrated was before I started recording. You're dealing with demons. You're dealing with, this is all demonic, and it's also demonic. This light is stationary right now. Before I started recording, it was dynamic, crawling on the wall like cockroaches. All right. This is the same exact circumstance that you saw this morning. Look at the Google Drive, and this is absolutely impossible. Okay, this is shade. And Robert Rivera is intentionally monitoring in this manner. He's monitoring with all of the demons at Economy Inn as you're going to prosecute the business. All of the rooms are engaging in stalking one person, monitoring the vagina of one person. Robert Rivera is a violent sex offender. He's engaged in the pattern of conduct with demons who have engaged in conspiring the death of her own daughter. That's Tracy Banks. And this is the entity that's engaging in gang stalking, stalking with light inside of a room, a hotel. The people of the state are demons that are gang stalking with light on the roads and the highways, like when I'm on OMNITRANS, like when I'm inside of Starbucks, like when I'm inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, like when I open the door and you see engineer light flying across the wall, like when I'm in the bank and you see engineer light. That's the pattern of conduct of stalking with light. That's the identification of a demon. That's who occupying this room, and that's an identity shared as an entity. This is P.O.C. All right, as the images and the video you see show, this is third-party Robert Rivera. He's also on the record engaging in gang stalking, terrorism, harassment, co-conspiring murder when you're gang stalking, understanding that gang stalking is committed by the government that has essentially placed a contract on the life of an American citizen. And the government is engaged in, with the population, keeping an American citizen under surveillance. And you're also witnessing the sexual violence pursuant to that, the psychological torture, and the entity that is engaged in literally stalking. This is Robert Rivera that is engaged in gang stalking at Economy Inn that I've already documented the sunrise and the sunset. Gang stalking with the City of Ontario, Alan D. WAPNER. Gang stalking with the Ontario Police, Mike LORENZ. Gang stalking with the Ontario Fire Department, American Medical Response, as the entity employs criminal summoning. And I've been documenting Economy Inn for years. So Robert Rivera represents the same population, sharing in that same pattern of conduct, and doing so in furtherance of murder inside of room 234, where you're looking at impossible light that's inside, and he is maliciously and intentionally targeting while I'm inside of the room. And this is the same pattern of conduct that he's engaged in while he was in the other room that was facing Euclid Avenue, and you saw the fake sun perfectly aligned with me outside of his hotel room where he is gang stalking with the state. And all of that environment is showing his criminal engagement in targeting, and you're doing so in furtherance of murder. This is the P.O.C. on what is August 31st, 2025. It's 4:34 p.m. At 231 South Euclid Avenue, the entity has the fake sun. Remember, Southwest Airlines, Delta Airlines, United Airlines are gang stalking me at Economy Inn, at Mobile, in that parking lot at 7:17 in the morning. The fake sun is over me at that same address right now at 4:35 p.m. And that is because the government, which is, again, Alan D. WAPNER, gang stalking using commercial planes, is targeting with the people of the state, which is what Robert Rivera demonstrates and proves. He is representing an entity, and he is acting in conformity to that same statewide pattern of conduct, which is engagement in what is the conspiracy to commit murder of an American citizen that is being kept under surveillance by the state, and the population is in the shoes of the state. License 43794E1, 9LFH500, 9SPD246, 4MOC754, 6JKU092. License 7ACK845. There is a demon stalking in the path. You'll see the fake sun at the same entrance where the fake sun is over me, where L&D WAPNER is maintaining commercial planes, targeting me as I am at this venue at 7 in the morning, leaving, getting on the bus. Remember, I document all that. So the fake sun is remaining stationary while I'm here, which is evidence of a population that is stalking together, speaking as the state, and they are acting in the shoes of the state. And this is the prosecution of the government engaging in an exposed contract on the life of an American citizen, conspiring the death of an American citizen that government is keeping under surveillance. License 7ACK845, 5KNG237, 9GZB923, 9TWY827, 9SMZ399, 7TQK000, 9UCR853, 9PDN848, license 9RMA864, license 58MV693, 6JZE097. That's the same demon gang stalking in 2021, 2020 with the red SUV. He is present pacing at the entrance monitoring. DZ99B91 paper, EF22C70 paper on a Toyota Camry, 9SJD866, EE94Z99. That's the gang stalking owner committing kidnapping on September 25th, 2020. The fake sun is in the same position that it is on at 7:17 in the morning, where Southwest Airlines is flying over my head on the sidewalk, where Delta Airlines is flying over me, and the entity is gang stalked by UPS. They're targeting me on the sidewalk where I'm located right now, 2301 South Euclid Avenue on video. And license 8JZR728 is stalking in the path. That's a demon engaging in that pattern of conduct. This is driven by women that were stalking in the path, molested, like the homosexual behavior of the demon-possessed females that are engaging in federal stalking and furtherance of murder. License KKB99, 9GTD454. And they are stalking with light during the day while you see a fake sun that remains over me, and it stands out because there's no sun in Florida in a natural environment where it's remaining over the same sidewalk where I'm documenting terrorism by commercial planes. All right, this is P.O.C. The fake sun moves as I move. It's over the roof of the hotel room where I'm at, 234, and it moves to what is Euclid Avenue as license 8JZR728. Homosexual, demon-possessed females that are stalking. Okay, monitoring my vagina with Robert Rivera inside of that hotel room. As you see that impossible light activity, this is a homosexual female that's obsessed with my vagina, and she's engaged in what is keeping me and my vagina under surveillance. 69195S1, gang stalking. You'll see the fake sun in the same position where Delta Airlines, UPS Airlines, Southwest Airlines are gang stalking at the same exact entrance, which I capture on video. Okay, 2315 South Euclid Avenue is the mobile. This is where L&D WAPNER, again, somebody that's going to be removed from office, as I'm exposing to you what is the pattern of conduct where the sun would never be at the same location. And not only am I capturing it at the same location, it's over me, the same person at the same location that is on the sidewalk at what is Economy Inn, which is the threshold separating 2315 mobile, where the entity is maintaining commercial planes over my head. Okay, those homosexual women are acting as an entity. This is the condition of those that are engaging in the satanic targeting system of federal group stalking and monitoring. And Robert Rivera's room is captured right here as I'm on the outside of Economy Inn, and this is where I'm documenting August 17, 2025, August 16, 2025, the fake sun that is in alignment. And then you're looking at what I capture video, impossible light, dynamic impossible light shooting through that hotel room, where he is the same population targeting in every hotel room that he remains, in a manner also that is incongruent with nature. The sun would not still be at the same venue where the city of Ontario's gang stalking me directly using commercial planes and helicopters, as L&D WAPNER and Mike LORENZ are exposed as in conspiring my murder, as they abuse their government positions, and they're also doing so with the people of the state who are occupying what are criminal means of presence while surveillance is underway, and that is evident through the fake sun, as I'm showing you two different rooms that Robert Rivera has maintained, and that fake sun is remaining. And that is, again, the documentation, excuse me, that is supplemental to what I already captured. That is the evidence of the sunrise and the sunset at Economy Inn, 2301 South Euclid Avenue. While you're looking at this, there is no sun that's at the OVITT Family Community Library. So I'm showing you, again, a consistent body of evidence, and I'm showing you also the evidence of the consistent inconsistency of that specific environment, which is where you're showing targeting that's underway by government that's practicing a satanic means of targeting someone
And absent evidence, the purpose of that is to falsely depict the character. And you have lowlifes, you have alcoholics, you have sex offenders like Robert Rivera engaging in what is monitoring a woman. That's a sex offense. While and this is the same with Tracy Banks. This is a lowlife. This is a sex offender monitoring a woman, and that also happens. That woman is also her daughter. This is the same thing with the entity that's engaged in this pattern of conduct. This is what Tracy Banks' sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields, is engaging in. This is what they have solicited by the government. That what you are learning is this is what the government is doing in the United States of America, and this is shared by politicians such as Gavin Newsom, who is engaged in the conspiracy to commit murder of an American citizen. That is a resident of the state of California. This is the shared pattern of conduct by the demons who you identify as celebrities, who are sharing in the criminal pattern of conduct. And it's also not limited to California, but I'm in California. I'm prosecuting based on my location and based on where these geniuses are keeping a fake sun all day long, as I show you the pattern of conduct from venue to venue to venue, and what is also mutually exclusive. And it's also mutually exclusive to wherever you are at in this country. So that you are aware of, not only is this exposing a conspiracy to murder someone, and it's the government that's engaging in that conspiracy with the civilian population, there are demons that do so. You need to understand that Gavin Newsom is a demon. He's not only corrupt, he is a demon-possessed co-conspirator to the murder of an American citizen. And all of the criminal conduct, the public corruption that the state of California has hereby been exposed of engaging in, Gavin Newsom is fully engaged in it, is aware of it, and is facilitating. He funds it. He puts demons in position of leadership to preside over it. Okay, so that's what's relevant to every police chief, every fire chief. That's what's relevant to the leaders of, and I'm not stating that he's directly putting fire chiefs in position. I'm stating that there is a hierarchy with regard to leadership and this corrupt system that you cannot have with regard to the ignorance of these leaders. Okay, in the same way that you know that Paul Leon is gang stalking, the fake sons over the Ontario City Hall, but it's not today. While it's over Economy Inn, while I'm at Robert Rivera's hotel room, which is also letting you know that these are all lowlifes. Robert Rivera is a demon-possessed gang stalking sex offender in the same manner that Paul Leon is. They're not different. They would like you to think that they're different based on what their occupation. 6BOA 988. Gang stalking under the fake sun at grocery outlet, and the entity is gang stalking with commercial planes at grocery outlet at 7:15 in the morning. In fact, I used that video to let you know that L. Edwards is going to federal prison, because the sun is not going to be beside his head while I'm inside a Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue at the same time, while it is over me at grocery outlet, while Alan D. WAPNER is maintaining commercial flights in order to terrorize and psychologically torture, pursuant to a documented program of psychological torture, stalking, and harassment and domestic terrorism. That's already on the record, and that's letting you know that everyone is sharing in that engagement, because what else do the demons do? They're not just present for me to read their license plates as though they are ignorantly in that supernatural environment. Oh no, the people of the state have shown you that they are demons who are stalking with light, and so have the demons that are occupying positions in government. The corrupt law enforcement agencies that engage in what is a documented pattern of being present, and by present meaning stalking from place to place while that fake sun is remaining over me, and the entity does so by plane and helicopter. That's understanding and connecting all of those dots. And every harassing phrase and term that Robert Rivera is uttering inside of his hotel room because of hostility to being documented, because of mental illness. These are sex offenders who are demon-possessed and hostile because they're being identified and exposed in ways in which they thought that pattern of conduct was never going to be created. In other words, license 8XIV 859, in ways in which they thought that someone is supposed to be falsely depicted, and their concoction of a plan didn't work. 6YKN234. So that causes the demon-possessed who are mentally ill to act out in the ways in which I've documented. And this is shared. Robert Rivera speaks as the state, while he is in a hotel room, which, by the way, the city of Ontario is paying for, the gang stalker itself paying for that hotel room, where the entity is aware of where I'm at because the fake sun is over that hotel room. So claiming that you don't know that I'm there is merely understanding the malice of demons who are lying. You don't have to utter a word. You will look at the environment. The city of Ontario, the management of the hotel, every demon-possessed gang stalker knows exactly where I'm at while they are stalking with impossible light and stalking under a fake sun. And that is understanding the Satan, who is a liar. And Robert Rivera is acting as an entity gang stalking at Ontario Town Square with the Ontario Police Department, and his demon-possessed little sex offender that likes to engage in surveillance outside of the women's restroom at the OVITT Family Community Library, where the fake son is not today, because OVITT Family Community Library is engaged in targeting my vagina and calling itself a family community venue. All right, the entity is engaging in what is targeting with the Ontario Police, and that's on video as well. So I'll remind you about that when I'm publishing it on YouTube, because you're looking at the pattern of conduct of stalking with light inside of a private space, and doing so on behalf of the state, the Ontario Police, with whom Robert Rivera is targeting me on Ontario Town Square. That was just last week. It was days ago. So I'll remind you about that. It is currently 4:45 p.m., where there would also be no sun outside of my hotel room at Ramada by Wyndham, on two accounts. Number one, because it's over my head at that venue at 10:13 in the morning. And in the natural environment, the natural environment dictates that the sun is not a stationary object that's remaining over one person, because there's only one sun. So the sun's not going to remain over everyone, everywhere, all over the country, duh. But also because the entity has the fake sun over me at 10 in the morning, and it's also over the Economy Inn, and those two are also not happening. While the Ramada by Wyndham is adjacent to the 10 freeway, where the entity is maintaining commercial flights, like it's taken off from the 10 freeway, flying toward the Ontario International Airport, by the way, in doing so. And the entity is also maintaining flights, commercial flights, over the 60 freeway, over me, going toward the 60 freeway, where the entity is maintaining a fake sun as well. That's identification, the ongoing targeting, as you're recognizing that environment and you're recognizing the behavior in that environment, where the government is again surrounded with evidence, inevitable with regard to the probative value of stalking as a population, stalking as a business. All right, it's currently 4:46 p.m. There's no sun that's going to be over Economy Inn, over me, over the parking lot, or anywhere over the 60 freeway, while it's outside in perfect alignment with my hotel room, which is what I documented at Ramada by Wyndham last week. And the entity had engineer light all over the bed, as though the sun is low enough, and it's hovering while it's there in the morning as well, and it's still there hovering in order to have the shape of the door, which is in the sunlight, the shape of the door across the bed inside of that hotel room, and dynamic light. While who is stalking? The people of the state that you're hearing stalking in the background under a fake sun. Okay, and what you're also going to look at is the entity is engaging in the same conduct that it is in the morning, because the fake sun is over me while the demon possessed are gang stalking at Euclid Avenue in Philadelphia, just like they are in the morning before I get on OMNITRANS, and that fake sun is on the same street. This is Euclid Avenue, where the entity is keeping that fake sun. Not only is it on the same street, you're looking at a population of demons that have co-conspired the murder of an American citizen. They're also doing so while the fake sun in the morning moves as I move, and it remains over the Ontario Town Square, remains over the OVITT Family Community Library, but it didn't today. It's starting in the afternoon at 4:47 p.m., where it's starting at 7:30 in the morning when I'm leaving this location, and that fake sun remains even setting at the Ontario Town Square, like the Ontario Police Department gang stalking in helicopter showed you yesterday evening. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct of gang stalking, as it's clearly demonstrated in that pattern of conduct. Okay, it is currently, by the way, excuse me, not yesterday evening, but that was the night before. That was the 29th. We're at 224 North Euclid Avenue. The fake sun is present after 6 p.m. The fake sun is present while the Ontario police are stalking by helicopter after 6 p.m. And the Ontario Town Square is on the same street that it is right now, Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California. Not Euclid Avenue in Chino, not Euclid Avenue in Upland. The entity kept the fake sun at the property on Euclid Avenue, where I'm located, from sunrise until sunset in the city of Ontario. That's Economy Inn, 2301 South Euclid Avenue, Mobile, 2315 South Euclid Avenue, to the Ontario Town Square, the OVITT Family Community Library on Euclid Avenue. And that's also a matter of video evidence. This is where Robert Rivera is acting in furtherance of murder, and is doing so. And I also want to be clear that this is, again, another co-conspirator to murder in concert with a public entity that is, again, taking very lightly the prospect of domestic terrorism. Okay, P.O.C. license 9GRV970, P.O.C. It's currently 4:49 p.m. So these demons, this is, again, bigger picture, U.S. Foods, Little Debbie's, the demons that are stalking in that commercial vehicle in the morning with impossible light while I get on OMNITRANS, while they're filling up their gas tanks with their kids. This is what they're doing in the afternoon, when you're looking at a population that's proven to be stalking in an environment that shows you what's the significance of that sun that could not be the natural environment. It's for purposes of surveillance. The mentally ill are engaging in surveillance through the public corruption of being consumers at facilitated venues, that is crime scenes that double as a gas station. License 9GRA427 and H660JG. That's Utah. All right, and they're gang stalking with Robert Rivera, who's only engaging what is keeping a hotel room, gang stalking, and that's the population that's engaged in that pattern of conduct. And that's the significance when you're looking at the pattern of conduct that's the same at 7:15 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, and here it is at 4:50 in the afternoon. That's the entity that's gang stalking. All right, it's currently 450. That's the federal RICO case against every business. And by the way, while it's over U.S. fuels, it's not over OVITT Family Community Library. It's not causing any sunlight inside of that library, over the staircase, through the window, along the wall of that elevator. None of that sunlight. Nor would the sun still be there at any location. The sun that's not going to be rising on the east side of the OVITT Family Community Library and then setting on the west side of the OVITT Family Community Library, where the Ontario police are gang stalking at 303 North Euclid Avenue at 7 in the morning. That's where the fake sun is setting in the evening. That's the entity that's surrounded with that evidence. And it's all a matter of documentation, looking at a map, look at the addresses that I'm talking about. I'm describing with detail that which you will easily be able to see with your own eyes. And as you listen to me document and expose sex offenders by podcast, these are demons, okay? And that's why I do not mince words with regard to what they are and also what you know that they're doing. What I want to expose is the entities engaging what is threatening and spiritually attacking. And these are the demon-possessed that can't even afford to maintain what is a basic level of lifestyle. But this includes politicians. This includes people who are millionaires. This includes people who are celebrities. And I want to make sure that I document that. The entity that is spiritually attacking those that are a part of the pattern of conduct, it does include third-party Missy Elliott. She is a rapper. She is associated, by the way, with Aaliyah, somebody who you need to know was sacrificed when she was a ripe, young 22 years old. And Missy Elliott was also associated with Aaliyah. And that's something that the federal government needs to look into if you aren't already. But Missy Elliott is engaged in this criminal monitoring system. That's what you need to know. Missy Elliott is engaged in what is this trafficking of minor children that's inherent to the gang stalkers who are keeping me under surveillance and furtherance of murder. They're gang stalking just like LAPD would be on the payroll of any gang stalking celebrity, of any local domestic terrorist, and then they have the police in their pocket stalking an American citizen by helicopter, showing you their inclination towards such corrupt practices. This is what LAPD is engaged in. This is what the Ontario Police Department are engaged in. This is what the Los Angeles County Sheriff's engaged in. This is what San Bernardino County Sheriff are engaged in. The entities engaging in this, Missy Elliott is a part of this demon-possessed population that is targeting me, and also centered around trafficking of children, targeting, sacrificing children in particular. And I want to make sure that the federal government is aware of that, and you should look into that. With regard to also this Love and Hip Hop franchise, Love and Hip Hop, these demons who are reality TV stars, the entity that is engaging in targeting, they are doing so while they are making a lot of money, and they are engaged in this system of gang stalking. Remember, gang stalking is nothing other than exposing an organized system where an entity, which you need to know is essentially the population, the entire state of California is full of demons. And that doesn't change with regard to that demon being a celebrity, that demon being a politician, that demon being the governor of the state, okay? The entities engaging in this, and it includes those that are the demons that are a part of this Love and Hip Hop franchise in particular. They have more than one brand. There's Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, there's Love and Hip Hop New York, there's Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. I don't watch that nonsense, but they are engaged in spiritually attacking, threatening, and this is something, this is a satanic system, and these demons are being identified, and the federal government needs to look into that as well. They are gang stalking with the low-life demons that are surrounding in Ontario, California, as I'm going to San Diego, as I'm going to Pasadena, as I'm going to Pomona, as I'm going to Newport Beach and Costa Mesa and San Diego. This is a statewide pattern of conduct, and it's exposing a whole population, a whole presence of a people who are murderers and who are sex offenders as the law would define them. And they are engaged in what is spiritual warfare. They're engaged in psychological torture. They're engaged in public corruption with regard to how they are murdering people and getting away with it without being identified as such, while you're looking at them and supporting the television shows, supporting their music, supporting their campaigns for office, while they're engaging in this satanic targeting system. So I want to include that as well. It's currently 4:54 p.m. It's August 31st, 2025. This is Philadelphia and Euclid Avenue, where you'll see the fake sun over me. And while it's over me, there's no sun in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay? While it's over me, there's no sun in Miami, Florida. There's no sun in New York, New York. And it doesn't change with regard to whether the demons are covering up the fake sun in Dallas, Texas today. You've seen the fake sun in Dallas, Texas, and it was never the natural environment. It does not change whether you cover it up for a week and then Satan would like to, okay, we're starting over again, we're going to erase all that evidence. No, that's not how it works. And that's not how a federal case or a federal investigation works either. While the entity keeps a fake sun in the same way I'm showing you, this is letting you know what's going on in this county. And it includes demons that are Missy Elliott, and that's also going to let you know about who Missy Elliott is around as well, a part of that same industry and a part of that same circle. I'm going to let you know right now, there's no exception. Okay, so you're talking about merely hearing specific names that are being dropped as it is the Lord's will to expose particular people, particular demons, but there's no exception in that industry. But the entity is also engaging in this with regard to children. They're trafficking children, they're sacrificing children. And as I've shown you, corruption by the terrorist organizations that want to be confused with law enforcement, which is going to be dealt with, they are doing so with that aspect of the entity. Those are demons that call themselves police officers and sheriffs and deputies. And they're engaged in this ongoing sacrifice that is the murder of American citizens. And a lot of those murders, sacrifices, are to children, babies, kids. Okay? This is P.O.C. It's 450. All right, license 7EWZ036 and license 5PLW809. All right, this is the population, millions of people that are in on a conspiracy to murder someone. And so pure numerosity speaking to the unlawful threat posed by the government. License 9NKL807, although it is sufficient to have one person solicit and conspire murder, the government's engaging in that conspiracy to murder through millions of people. And this is the criminal conduct of Gavin Newsom. Okay, Paul Leon's engagement, that is identifying the entire city of Ontario, is based on Gavin Newsom's complicit and facilitating engagement in this pattern of conduct that as a governor, you're not even getting the position of governor unless you're a demon that's engaging in what is maintaining the system. Okay, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 4:59 p.m. under the fake sun at Philadelphia and Euclid Avenue. In the same manner I just documented on Friday, the fake sun being over me at this same intersection in the morning. And that is the conclusive evidence that Gavin Newsom is under a fake sun in California, targeting me, knows exactly who I am, knows every word that I utter, and is a demon under a fake sun, creating illusion, presenting you with illusions regarding what he's doing in office, what he's doing for the state. This is a demon with ambitions to be in the office of the presidency, and this is speaking to what is Satan's plans with regard to the future. But again, those who know Christ Jesus and those who know how this ends, it doesn't matter what demon is in office because the Lord's will is going to prevail. It already is in operation right now, and this is the entity that's not doing anything other than what the Lord God has dictated that they are permitted to do in order to accomplish what is his will. And it includes being identified regardless of what demon is taking office, and it is Gavin Newsom. He's under a fake sun in California. He gives you speeches and tells you about what he's doing and what he's perturbed about regarding President Trump. He's doing it under the fake sun. He's talking about how much money he's saving, how many jobs he's creating under the fake sun. Okay? He works for Satan. And all these puppets, all these demons that I'm documenting, they are of the same condition and they are on the same agenda. Contrary to what the illusion looks like. It looks like he's an authoritative figure. He's the governor, and they are all the occupants, the residents, the voters, actually. And there is, again, a physical level of truth in that. He's a governor, so he has authority. But you need to understand that these are all demons that are working for the same team. All right, these are all demons. They're all on the same team, and they are all aware of the same agenda and the ongoing illusions that are necessary with regard to what Satan's agenda is. Okay, when I'm referring to Satan, the name, this is a spirit. And this is exposing a criminal system that is underway by the demon-possessed. And they are relying on what is an illusion. And Gavin Newsom doesn't want you to look up in the sky and look at the fake sun over him while that demon lies out of his face. He's a murderer. Okay? He's engaged in conspiring the murder of American citizens, and he does it with the gang-stalking demons who are on celebrity reality TV. That are, they make albums for you to buy. They brag about how many mansions they have. And they're engaging in what is monitoring while you hear this audible activity. They engage in trying to threaten somebody like me who will never be silent. And if you're scared enough to be threatening in the spirit, then you've already been defeated. And if you do not know already, the entity that tries to threaten, you're going to be the first one that's going to be identified by name. If I have your address, if I have your social security number, if I have the last album that you created, and how many souls were sacrificed so that you could get a new mansion in New York, I will tell all of the business. I will tell every single last ounce of it. You're already defeated when you try to do something as foolish and cowardly as trying to threaten in the spirit. That's because you're fearful. You should be Satan. It is currently 5:02 p.m. These are demons that are monitoring. They're monitoring. There's an illusion with regard to celebrities and having access. They're all demons. The demons that are standing on the stage singing the songs, and the demons that buy the tickets in the arenas. They're all demons. This is P.O.C. This is the reality of what the demons do together. They murder people. They conspire to murder people. They psychologically torture people until they get to take your life. And they're doing so pursuant to what is a sacrifice, a worship of the devil himself. P.O.C. License 8AZV370, License 9FEM746, and they also present illusions because they want to distract you with things like Black Lives Matter, and I'm pro-black this, and I'm pro-black that, and the entities engaging in what is a creation of what is a song and dance. In California, the demon-possessed do not care anything about Black Lives Matter. They could not care less. They could not care less. And I also want you to know that they're more unified than they want you to think as well. Because the white folks that are demon-possessed, they are lock in step with the black demon-possessed gang stalkers. They're targeting me together. There is no love amongst the colored people, amongst the African Americans, amongst the so-called minority. That's a distraction. It's a distraction, and it's a lie out of the pit of hell. There is no race with regard to Satan. Every single last person in the state of California is engaged in this pattern of conduct, and it is out of the pit of hell. So we are getting to, if you have a conflict with that, you can't put your mind around that. What about the churches? The churches are businesses. They're corrupt. They're demons engaging in the pattern of conduct. What happens when I go to that church? The entity keeps a fake sun while they say the name of Jesus, while they sing songs that they don't mean anything. They don't mean anything. It's nothing other than a poor performance. People who a few of them can hold a tune. Most of them are off key while they're engaging in what is a performance before Satan, hailing him in his heart and saying the name of Jesus with their mouth, while their hearts are far from him. They're engaging in the satanic targeting system. They are gang stalking at church. That's what Sunrise Church in Rialto, California is letting you know, as I've documented them. Okay? Demons engaging what is targeting me. That is also occurring through what is harassing me, which I documented. Look at October 17th, 2017, this third-party gang stalker, this demon-possessed hypocrite, Gregory Hooper. This is a demon that was targeting me in concert with all of the demons that filled Sunrise Church. And the entity kept the fake sun in Rialto, California, not on Euclid Avenue in Ontario, not at Economy Inn, kept it over Sunrise Church, and then over my apartment home in Upland, California, which I also proved. The Upland police are gang stalking in May of 2018 under the fake sun at my home. Okay? The entity is engaging when it's making my private residence, absent my consent and knowledge, a facilitating venue for which I'm going to recover. I'm going to prosecute for that. All right? The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, and it includes no exception. Every celebrity, every politician, they're all engaged in trafficking children. They are engaging in trafficking children. Those are those that are spiritually innocent, if you will. They're more quote unquote new than they are corrupt. This is what the demon possessed are focusing in on, and they are again pedophiles that lust over the genitalia of children. They are bloodthirsty and wanting to take their lives, and they do so as a sacrifice to Satan, and they do it for fame. They do it so that you will watch their show, so that you will be exercised with influence that you're not realizing is being exercised over you, and you're doing so while they are achieving what is more money, more pay, more favor, which is given to them by Satan. Okay, and their time is up with regard to doing it secretly. License 4X U.S. 638. There is a whole traffic ring regarding children, pedophilia, and it is key to what California is engaged in. And gang stalking, this system that I'm exposing, federal group stalking and monitoring, these are the ones engaging in maintaining that traffic ring, that sex ring regarding children. And it includes people who don't want to be identified, people who are celebrities, people who are artists in the industry. And those are, by the way, complimentary terms and titles that are speaking to nothing other than dusty rust buckets monitoring my vagina in the bathroom. All you're doing is exchanging the name of the demon. And in reality, there's no difference between this trash dumpster picking demon Robert Rivera and a demon that dropped a hip-hop album in 2025, and everybody's going to pay for it. They're demons. They worship Satan. They sacrifice children. They have sex with them. They murder them. They gang stalk people for fame and celebrity and for influence. That's what they do, and that's what you're supporting, and you need to know that. Okay? It is currently 5:07 p.m. These are the demons that are gang stalking right now in every corner of the state. Celebrities are targeting me via the demons on Philadelphia and Euclid Avenue, 9AHY 487 included. It's one entire entity. It's 5:07 p.m. This is P.O.C. Sorry, I'm eating ice. It's hot outside. This is P.O.C. All right, this is a public service announcement regarding more closeted homosexual women that are also engaged in criminal monitoring, but they likely are living their lives as heterosexual women, also law-abiding citizens. They're neither. License plate. Let's see. We've got license 9KVA971. This is another gay woman stalking me, obsessed with monitoring me. This is a demon. License 7YJB347. Co-conspirators to murder as well, and they're gang stalking at the same gas station where the fake sun is over me, at this same gas station, sharing in the population's criminal engagement and monitoring the person that it has conspired to murder. This is at what is 2155 South Euclid Avenue, and it's 5:24 p.m. and that'll be uploaded to the Google Drive. That's the population that's sharing that they represent an entity. This is P.O.C. Okay, a bunch of psychopaths co-conspiring murder. Light dragging across the grocery store while you're stalking, and so is that grocery store. That's Grocery Outlet, where you see them stalking me at 12:52 in the afternoon with the Ontario International Airport and Ontario PD, where you see them gang stalking me at 7 in the morning with the Ontario International Airport and the Ontario PD. They're gang stalking right now. License 9AAT250, a psychopath. The impossible light all over the ground is the evidence of it. 6XRZ429, all conspiring murder while they're gang stalking with the government. License 8GFA531, psychopath. They're all stalking with light that is not naturally occurring. Engineer light is moving all over the ground and all over the building, especially with this psychopath right here. This homosexual elderly woman, 9GB and 885. Impossible light all over the Grocery Outlet while that psychopath stalking a woman that's a homosexual. She's obsessed with my vagina, and she's also a maniacal psychopath. The impossible light all over the place while she moves her vehicle under a fake sun to stalk and monitor someone else that she intends to murder as an entity. That's the evidence of her mental illness. It's currently at 2275 South Euclid Avenue, where Grocery Outlet is sharing in that pattern of conduct. Grocery Outlet has years of evidence of conspiring my murder as a corrupt business with the government. 31602L3, P.O.C. It's 5:28 p.m. and this is the entity gang stalking in a grocery store, which you've already seen. The fake sun in the morning, all right, the fake sun in the afternoon, and the fake sun in the evening, where all of the universe of the demons that conspire the murder of a particular person keep the whole sunrise and sunset around that person. And the mentally ill engage in what is grocery shopping centered around that criminal pattern of conduct. It's called malice. That's a federal RICO case against that establishment as well. This is P.O.C. These are demons that engage in that sort of that sort of level of targeting, that sort of malice, that sort of costume around, that sort of disguise around conspiring to murder somebody. All right, to sacrifice them to Satan. It's 5:29 p.m. The sun would never be over me at 12:53 in the afternoon, and also still aimed on me at the same address. The sun would never be at 7:15 in the morning at the same address, Grocery Outlet, and still present. It's 5:29 p.m. Grocery Outlet is gang stalking. P.O.C. All right, 5:31 p.m. Co-conspirators to murder, pedophiles that don't want that to be known about them, psychopaths that don't want their mental illness to be exposed, the demon-possessed that don't want Satan to be identified amongst them. They engage in grocery shopping and engineered light. And that's what you'll see in the on the Google Drive when you're looking at demons, grocery shopping, and you're looking at the engineered light that's covering the inventory where they're focusing their eye contact. That's mental illness exhibited. That's relevant to what is malice. That's that mental illness, that malicious conduct. That's a psychopath. They're also conspiring the murder of someone that they're stalking in a manner that's not supposed to be suspected. They're doing so in a ridiculous environment. Gang stalking by grocery shopping under the fake sun is exposing public corruption, a malicious guise of criminal surveillance in furtherance of the conspiracy to murder, i.e. Grocery Outlet engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring by providing a crime scene for the demons and the pedophiles to stalk somebody in a grocery store by focusing on inventory around that targeted individual to make make noise around that targeted individual, to enter, that is pace in and out around that targeted individual where there are a bunch of demons engaging in a ritual. This is what Grocery Outlet is engaged in, and it is absurdly psychotic. So you'll see that inside of the grocery store, and I've already captured this. What you're hearing in the background is a demon that's focused on me, and what you also know about them is that they're also focused on my vagina. These are sex offenders, and the company Grocery Outlet is a sex offender, and it's also criminally facilitating murder, okay? While you're gang stalking, and this is happening, again, every business, that, you know what businesses include? Businesses includes radio stations, businesses includes movie production companies, businesses include television shows that are produced and managed. These are businesses in Hollywood, these are businesses in Los Angeles, these are businesses that are not just in LA, but that's like the capital of what is Satanism, which you really need, that's really what it is. But not every movie production has to be in service to Satan, but that's what the demon possessed do. That's how they have committed what it is that they're doing in order to make money. They have engaged in what is serving Satan for those purposes, but it doesn't have to be, but that's what the demon possessed are doing. And that is why you're getting to what Hollywood is filled with. They're filled with demons, and every business that includes that industry, those are businesses, they're engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. Okay, this is what is so pathetic, and this is what you're looking at when you're looking at the mental illness that's no longer closeted, when you're looking at how despicable conspiring murder of an American citizen, doing so in those psychopathic manners, such as in a grocery store. All right, this is P.O.C. 5:33 p.m. All right, 5:35 p.m. It just turned 5:36 p.m. This is where you'll see the images of the evidence of people that are stalking obsessively one person. While they're engaged in what is cutting off the path, they're making sure, like in a football game, except the goal, the objective is murder. But like in a football game, while you are trying to make sure that you are blocking the person with the ball, I am the focus, and when you're looking at people that are in front, while they calmly do so, with, maintaining the emotions on their face, maintaining their composure, especially while they are engaging in what is stalking under a fake sun, which you'll see through the windows of the grocery outlet. Understand, I stood in the parking lot at that same location where you see that fake sun aimed through the window of this grocery store at 12:52 in the afternoon, where the Ontario International Airport and the Ontario Police Department engaged in stalking, proven through that specific environment. And this is where demons are stalking in the path, making sure, oh, they get in front, making sure, oh, they get behind, making sure they're present in the aisles, making sure that there's no place that's unmanned. That's exposing what is obsession, not the entity that tries to control its facial expressions, that tries to calmly make sure that they are obsessively stalking in the path, which is proven through that environment, and it's also proven through presence in that environment, where, by the way, you are not actually nor reasonably ignorant about it. This is an entity that's engaged in pedophilia, trafficking children, sacrificing them, murdering them, having sex with them, and also engaging in what is the organized crime of murdering American citizens like myself, where they are gang stalking, and this is proving it in every business, including every grocery store, every hotel, every market like 7-Eleven, every cafe like Starbucks, every restaurant that I'm documenting. This is letting you know that there is no exception. The entire city and every business, every type of business, when you're recognizing what people in the music industry and the movie and television industry, those are businesses, and they're engaged in criminal monitoring. Criminal monitoring is the organized crime of murdering people, sacrificing them, and it's the work unto Satan. Okay, and that's what every politician and every gang stalking family, a bunch of demons that are not identified by race, they're identified by the environment and their behavior in that environment, which is psychopathic. Absolutely psychopathic. And these are pedophiles that go around with minor children in their hand, holding hands with them, because they think that that's supposed to make them look less suspicious in the body of the evidence of the P.O.C. But they're exposed as a threat to children while they're gang stalking with them, in the same way that you don't look less innocent when you are in the film of a child porn and you have children while you're in custody of child pornography. It doesn't make you look innocent. This is the failure in the logic of the demon possessed that are gang stalking, and they're going to be prosecuted accordingly. This is what the entity is engaging in, and the entire basis of the false premises upon which, rather, that gang stalking is built is absolutely the evidence of the malice, and it's the demise of that system, because the entity is absolutely idiotic. Okay, and that's because you will never have the sun over me at 5:30 12:36 p.m. and also at 12:52 in the afternoon. And then you're looking at everybody that's in the path. They're all demons, they're all pedophiles, they're all sex offenders, and they're all sharing in the conspiracy to murder somebody. And they're unintelligent demons in doing so. And they're also, again, the closeted homosexuals that go around with children as though you're supposed to assume that they're heterosexuals. And you're looking at the P.O.C. showing that they're closeted homosexuals. And they're engaging in what is psychopathic conic stalking another woman. Okay, it is currently, by the way, 5:39 p.m. This is Grocery Outlet that's exposing the criminal system that's underway throughout the entire state of California. This is P.O.C. All right, GO-GES, Grocery Outlet Guest Wi-Fi Network, which is password protected, and none of the employees state knowledge or any information about how to log into it. The entity is engaged in federal stalking under Title 18 by providing a Wi-Fi network, and it's also interesting that none of the employees know anything about it. They're doing so under the fake sun as well. So understand this is monitoring that's on the venue of the internet, on communication devices, and you have a bunch of demons that are just pacing around in the grocery store. They will purchase, they're sitting around staring at it, they're stalking me inside of a grocery store. This is what's so pathetic, but this is also showing you the entity that's engaging in stalking obsessively until the moment of taking the life of a person, including stalking them in a grocery store. That's how psychopathic, that's how obsessed, that's how disturbed the demon-possessed are, okay? And Grocery Outlet is fully engaged in that. POC. All right, look at what you'll see at 5:43 p.m. It's the evidence of the conspiracy to murder someone while you're in the grocery store. In front of me, and the fake sun is also stalking in the path as I move inside of that grocery store. This is the same venue where you're looking at the Ontario International Airport. That's Alan D. WAPNER, which is already presenting evidence against all the demons who are all stalking. So you're talking about the mental illness. They're all delusional. They're all surrounded in the evidence, and they're all just stalking. This is how the system is supposed to exist, but without your knowledge of it. And so you're able to see their mental illness, you're able to see their delusion, you're able to see their obsession, you're able to see their malice, you're able to see their sexual perversion, you're able to see their maniacal behavior, psychopathic behavior, stalking someone and keeping their back of their head to them while they're conspiring to murder them. So now you're getting a front row seat when the entity is doing it in front of you, and the entity is supposed to be doing it unbeknownst to anyone. Okay, this is POC. It's currently 5:44 p.m. All right, license 6NES 204. They're monitoring while impossible light activity. That's terrorism. That a corrupt third-party business is inflicting upon an American citizen. That Grocery Outlet is conspiring to murder, while Grocery Outlet is engaged in the surveillance system that precedes murder committed as a corrupt entity. That's why impossible light activity, that's why the fake sun, that's why the puddle of engineered light is inside of the grocery store for the corrupt gang stalking purposes and facilitation of gang stalking. That is Grocery Outlet providing a crime scene where the people of the state can come in and share in that ongoing conspiracy to murder by gang stalking inside of its establishment. Again, at 2275 South Euclid Avenue, 9GB and 885. While everybody is feigning ignorance about the GO-GES Wi-Fi network, where it's a means of surveillance. Wi-Fi, the engagement in what is monitoring on the venue of the internet. License 16123X2. That's a demon that is associated with the United States Marines, by the way, and I've documented the United States Marines gang stalking me before. This is not new. 7AUE163, 8TFC674, 9UQH996. That turns on their reverse lights the moment that I turn toward them and document. They're in the parking lot. This is another sex offender that's engaged in what is monitoring a woman's vagina, conspiring her murder while engaging in that sex offense with the government that sanctions this violence that the entity gets to act out while they're targeting an American citizen. Let me get this image right quick. If I could turn that. Hold on, let me check right. There we go. Alrighty, that's POC, and you'll see the fake sun in perfect alignment with where I'm standing. This demon is a stalker, okay? Is monitoring everything, and that's also a sex offender that's also monitoring everything, including my vagina, and is maintaining presence around in the parking lot. And the context is that the fake sun's in the same position it is at 7:15 when I'm coming from Economy Inn. The moment that I turn to document is when that demon is stalking with light, meaning following with light, that is creating light with simultaneity. To my documenting that particular demon that's lying there in wait. Those are the sex offenders monitoring my vagina as well. License plate 83842B1, 9LGZ337. Grocery Outlet is criminally responsible for everything that it's documented engaging in on the property. License, and this is again the deep pockets that facilitate surveillance by a government, MACHE50, and they are engaging in that pattern of conduct with its demon-possessed employees at its demonic establishment, which is relevant to malicious engagement in targeting someone. in a manner that you're never supposed to be able to prove that grocery outlet is targeting you, because the entity is engaged in the satanic conduct of stalking you with a whole specific environment. The environment stalking you. That's why it's at the same address that it is at 7:15 in the morning, while grocery outlet is stalking me, and I'm going to prosecute civilly and criminally. License 7PDL580, 8EEY352, 9KNT 477, 9PUX 244, 9CPG 628, 6FOR 752. The gang stalking immigrants in this country, sharing in this criminal system, disregard for human life, for human rights, based on this corrupt system that the government has brought immigrants into the state to share in. 7AUE163, 16123X2. Again, that's that demon-possessed gang stalking so-called Marines. Okay, P.O.C. And those are just the demons that are in this part of the parking lot. All right, they're sharing the pattern of conduct. Look at the video that I'm documenting. Ontario police are stalking in alignment to the exit of the grocery outlet while they're in the parking lot, just leaving their vehicle there. The moment that I start reciting license plates, the moment that I start documenting, the moment that I start mentioning damning evidence, those demons hop in those vehicles and they drive out, monitoring and doing so, okay? 6YWD925. This is the same Walgreens at 2245 South Euclid Avenue. The sun is not going to be at one address. From, let's see, that was 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. 6 hours later, it's 6 p.m. This is stalking that the government has already demonstrated its engagement, and they are in the shoes of the government. License 6EGD978. What you need to know that the government is engaged in pedophilia. The government's engaged in organized crime amongst serial killers, amongst child rapists, amongst kidnappers, and the government is permitting the demon-possessed population to act out its violent impulses through the secret system of gang stalking. License 9PQB0757, 7XXK806, 7YGN587. And what you also need to know when I'm documenting third parties like Missy Elliott, you need to understand that there is no exception in the gang stalkers that are engaging in what is the movie industry, the television and music industry. These demon-possessed celebrities that you are worshiping unbeknownst to you, they're engaging in this gang stalking and monitoring my vagina. Pedophilia amongst children, kidnapping and murder, which is a sacrifice unto Satan. They're engaging in this system. License plate 6YWD925, a psychopath with a child, stalking with light. DOZ B54, Colorado plate. 9EDA249. Let me be clear, that's Walgreens, by the way. Walgreens is gang stalking. In Driftwood Village Shopping Plaza, right across the street, is gang stalking. Let me be clear, the entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct, and this is putting the entirety of that state of California in a prosecution. Okay, this is the prosecution of the state, while these demons in Ontario are gang stalking. 8MCV440. And how is that? Where is the sun in Florida while it's remaining at 2301 South Euclid Avenue? This is how you're recognizing the malicious pattern of conduct and the entity that's engaging in what is harassment amongst this specific environment. And thank goodness, because in the practice of law and the prosecution of a case, you are not leaving common sense outside of the doors of that tribunal. The entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct and is engaged in not only what is reasonably construed as, oh yeah, you know about the fake sun that you're all surrounding the targeted individual in, but also the evidence shows, oh, they know exactly who the targeted individual is while they're stalking them under a fake sun and with impossible light activity with planes and helicopters. Okay, license plate 6W73914. All right, this is a demon that's stalking while the entity is maintaining plane activity over my head at the same wine barrel, 2205 South Euclid Avenue, where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking in the morning. Sorry if you can't hear me. Wine barrel at 2205 South Euclid Avenue, where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking in the morning. Delta Airlines letting you know that they are specifically targeting me. Again, flying over the sidewalk while they're doing a U-turn, flying over the top of my head while the fake sun's at the same address. These are all demons that are stalking. 9HZX231, 5KLY506. And the entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct while they're conspiring the murder of the person that they're obsessively stalking. They all just engage in that inside of a grocery store. That's how much the entity that is demon-possessed doesn't have anything else to do. This is how invested that they are in murdering one person and obsessively stalking that one person, contrary to the illusion that especially the state of California presents to you. Everybody's all focused on getting their money up, getting their bag, keeping up with it. These demons are all stalking. That's what they're doing. They're all sitting around monitoring under, it's not even real sunlight and it's not even the real sun. That's how psychopathic they are. That's how sick and demented they are. Because some of them have the ability to practice witchcraft in order to steal creative ideas from other people, and you think that they're talented, you think that they're creative while they're worshiping Satan, all right, and engaging in what is monitoring somebody. And they're not even creative. They could not draw a stick figure. They're not creative. They're thieves. They engage in copyright infringement. They do so through gang stalking. This is the entity that sought to steal my intellectual property. This is how they come up with the ideas regarding exposing what exactly the state of California is engaged in, by the way. Like I stated before, the Truman Show. That's the admission by the United States government to being engaged in criminal monitoring. All right, the entity is engaging in what is the pattern of conduct, and this is how they commit copyright infringement, and this is going to be on a precedented basis to recover. And no law is going to bar what is the ability to enforce your rights. I don't care how far away that demon is, because whose ideas that they've stolen and created anything from, they didn't create any aspect of it. The entity tried to murder me and get away with stealing my ideas, and I will track you down and prosecute you. You're not keeping it. Because it's known now that the government is engaging in copyright infringement through targeting, state surveillance. These aren't creative demons, they're thieves, they're murderers. They'll steal your idea and then take your life, okay? License plate, and then they make millions of dollars off of it. License plate, EG12Z79 or EG12749, that's a paper plate. It's currently 6:05 p.m. The fake sun is in the same position that it is at 7 in the morning, which is how you know that U.S. fuels its gang stalking through these demons. A family full of demons, a vehicle full of demons that are gang stalking in the pathetic manner, such as stalking in a grocery store and stalking at a gas stall. License 8A58471. This is so pathetic what the demon-possessed do, but these are pedophiles. ELIZBTV. That's another demon-possessed gang stalker where the government's engaged in pedophilia and permitting sex offenders to act out their perverted impulses while they're gang stalking. It's okay with the state. All right? While they're engaging in what is the target of the U.S. government, that's okay with the government for you to prey upon children and have sex with them and put it on the internet and sell it under the illusion that, oh, if we catch you, then we're going to prosecute you. The government's engaged in child porn. The government's engaged in trafficking children. The government's engaged in that. All right? And the entity is engaging in what is sacrificing American citizens. And you need to know that you are aware of what the governor of California is engaged in. You're aware of what every mayor in the state of California, look up the mayors in California, every single last one is a demon-possessed, gang-stalking pedophile. And that is not hyperbole. Every single last one, while I am under a fake sun at 2155 South Euclid Avenue. The state of California is engaging in a whole satanic operation of targeting someone, and the person that they targeted is here to let the whole world know that this is what they're doing. This is a failed sacrifice, and it's a public failure of trying to sacrifice someone. Public. You don't get to engage in failure at this sacrifice in private. You're not going to be prosecuted publicly. There will be no NDAs. Nobody is advocating on behalf of representing my interests. I can clearly represent my own interests, and I'll also let you know and prosecute the case. They're engaging in this conduct, and it's public exposure, full public exposure. And the entity is doing this in furtherance of murder. This is what they do to children. They murder them. This is relevant to what they do to children. They have sex with them. This is how they engage in sacrifices. And it's all based on stalking me under a fake sun. 8TYK262. 8BDZ 329, license 8VHC267, 9RTE 463, 9SWJ 997. And while they're driving north on Euclid Avenue, there's no sun that's remaining in their window. It's remaining stationed over me at this bus stop in the same manner that it is at 7:30 in the morning. That's how you know that they're stalking as a population. They're not going anywhere. They're pacing. They are demons. And they are in the shoes of the state. They're not private citizens. And they will be prosecuted accordingly. All right, it's currently, by the way, 6:07 p.m., grocery outlet. The customer status that I maintain, this is relevant to what is engaging in targeting both a patron and also while I'm walking outside, grocery outlet is gang stalking. Grocery outlet is gang stalking even when the store itself is closed while the people of the state are stalking on the path, stalking in the path, stalking with the elements of audible activity and light activity, stalking in the sky space over a grocery outlet where it is providing at all times and at all amongst the entirety of the entity a means whereby they can use it as a crime scene, and that's why grocery outlet is going to be prosecuted. And to prove that, I'm subject to gang stalking both as a patron and also while I'm walking on the sidewalk outside. I can't escape the ongoing criminal conspiracy to murder me that grocery outlet is engaged in. And grocery outlet has the audacity to be making money from it, okay? Those are demons that are going inside of that grocery store, and grocery outlets getting customers while grocery outlet is stalking me and facilitating gang stalking me in furtherance of murder. That's the federal RICO case. In addition to that, grocery outlets engaged in federal stalking under Title 18. Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2, and that's what every single last business, every kind of business, even pedophiles, they are creating corporations. Those are businesses. When I say every business, this is the entity that's engaging in that. Even illegitimate, perverted, and criminal businesses that are engaging in this. This is for purposes of surveillance. Everyone is engaged in surveillance. This is exposing that. Okay? It's currently 6:09 p.m. and I'm at Philadelphia and Euclid Avenue, where the fake son went to the window of the grocery outlet store. That's how you know that this is a psychopath. License PK377 with the handicap license plate. His actual handicap is that he is a psychopath, and that has not been diagnosed. The fact that he's overweight and he could barely fit inside of that truck while he's gang stalking is relevant to his probably incapable of walking, and that's the handicap status that he maintains. But this is mental illness that you know that he suffers from while he's engaged in gang stalking. And that's why the fake son went from Philadelphia and Euclid Avenue to what is the window of the grocery store in alignment to me at that grocery store, where I'm present in the morning, where the natural environment would not contain that. It would not have that under any circumstances. And there's also revealing what are the gang stalking celebrities and politicians in California who are stalking and monitoring me while the fake son remains over me in Ontario on Euclid Avenue. Because they're all stalking, gang stalking, monitoring, engaging in surveillance while I show you the identification of it. A population, a government, an entity that's keeping an American citizen under surveillance is doing so under the fake son. All right? There's necessarily more than one fake son. When you're watching the Kardashians, you're looking at the fake son setting at their Calabasas mansion. Those are demons. And they are engaged in this criminal pattern of conduct. It is currently 6:10 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, it is 6:25 at Francis Street. License 8BOZ 997 at Francis and Euclid Avenue. I captured video at 7 in the morning during the 7 a.m. before 8 a.m. and the fake son is in alignment to me on the same route. License 7SYV215 is engaged in federal group stalking monitoring while in custody of minor children as well. They're sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct. 8HNC670, the same. And you're looking at the fake son while I'm aboard Route 83 going northbound on Euclid Avenue at Francis, where I'm starting this video at 6:26 p.m. and never under the circumstances of a natural environment, that is recognizing gang stalking by a government and a population who are engaging in state surveillance where they live, where I'm on the roads and the highways under what is a fake sun that's along the same route going in the same direction. And I'm showing you that P.O.C., including by the patrons that get aboard the bus, gang stalking, as I've shown OMNITRANS has been engaged in. This is P.O.C. All right, this is engaging what is, remember, in the morning you're getting molested with the possible light. That's not even the sun. That's on this side of the bus, on the same street. This is the elements monitoring while you're gang stalking. This isn't the sun, nor even the sun. And this is the entity that's going to the extent to make sure somebody is on the path. And that's a demon that's in the back seat, gang stalking. This is my shadow that's appearing on the bus. It is 6:27 p.m. The entity has the fake sun remaining over the economy end. I'm documenting that at the same time. Economy end is that direction, staying on the same street, however. And you're also looking at what is the entity taking the fake sun while I'm at Starbucks at 507 Euclid Avenue, while I'm at Woodside Senior Apartments at 408 West G Street, while I'm remaining in Hesperia, California at 9750 Key Point. And the entity's keeping the fake sun over that Holiday Inn, that hotel. This is recognizing the environment, which is supernatural. The sun's not going to be along the same route, the same bus, the same direction. And I'm documenting it as the same person, showing you what is the P.O.C. All right, this is the government that's gang stalking. This is the sun, not the natural environment. It's the fake sun. All right, and this is one street in California along one bus route, the same direction. Yeah, that's identifying the P.O.C. It's currently 6:28 p.m. P.O.C. This is Mission and Euclid, where I'm documenting the fake sun along this street at 7 in the morning. That's not the natural environment. This is identifying surveillance. Surveillance by the state. And they're demons. The fake sun is moving. It's not remaining stationary over one building. It remains over one building while I'm under surveillance at whatever building that is in concert with an entity, with the P.O.C. All right, capturing the video, you're mindful of the entity keeping the fakes on August 29, 2025, while I'm on the same route, going in the same direction, and you have the same circumstance of what is the sun. And under such circumstances, the sun can never be in Florida, like I've shown you. Well, I'm showing you what's remaining over me on one street. I just remain on one street. But it would even be bigger picture would be from Fontana to Ontario, the sun is not rising and setting between those two cities, okay? This is the idiocy of gang stalking and the demon-possessed that are not intellectually proficient at all. And they are shown to be engaging in targeting, which is proven through that environment where sex offenders who are pedophiles, who are co-conspirators to murder, are indeed targeting. Okay? And it is underscored when I'm on the same bus route going in the same direction at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day with regard to a sunrise and a sunset of what is inevitably and irreducibly a fake sun. Okay? License 8TJL 866, 9LVE 760. License 6JUS 764. The entity is engaged in monitoring on the bus, and everything on that bus is a means of monitoring. Getting on and off the bus, the fake sun's moving with regard to the same speed of the bus travel, and it remains in alignment to me wherever it is, and I'm situated on the bus as well. And the entity is doing this on all bus routes at all cities, as I've also documented Route 61, Route 66, Route 87, the same pattern of conduct. And the entity also engaging what is targeting through the government, as I've shown, stalking using things such as psychologically harmful methods of stalking an American citizen using planes and helicopters. This is P.O.C. and this is speaking to a population that knows who I am. 9EWE 895, 6UJS 766, 76707S2, 6YMG 478. These are demons that are stalking while I am on the OMNITRANS bus, and they're doing so pursuant to psychopathic means of stalking somebody, like in a grocery store, like at a hotel as an innkeeper, like where you live in your apartment or in your house. This is what the demon-possessed doing as they conspire with a government that's engaging surveillance with them. This is P.O.C, and this is the entity that is demon-possessed. There's no sun at the intersection of Hope Boulevard and Euclid Avenue. First of all, because it's present at that intersection at 7 in the morning, but also while I am at the grocery outlet, while I'm en route toward that location. Okay, that's the P.O.C. The only thing that maintains ubiquitous presence over everything, everywhere, is the sky. Okay, not the sun. It's P.O.C. All right, that bus is bus number 2350. It's driven by an old Caucasian female, license 1545684. And you will see the same circumstance that I documented on the 29th when I got off of the bus, and the fake sun's in alignment to me at the same bus stop. You're looking at that pattern of rising and setting of fake sun. The fake sun in the morning is to what is to the east over the same Euclid Avenue, while I'm capturing that fake sun as I get off, and it's over the same street to the west. That's the entity that is stalking with the fake sun, and that is, by the way, in alignment with me while I get off the same bus route, showing you a population of demons who are stalking. But I prove that without the entity providing this ongoing evidence. The level of stalking that the City of Ontario has engaged in is literally providing a template for anyone, any federal government, to study and understand how the system of surveillance operates, and also study the demented mind state of the person and of the government regime that would engage in it, how they engage in it, what they rely on in order to engage in it, and also the affect on the ordinary targeted individual on whose behalf I'm advocating. Again, I am defying all of those stereotypes, but it's not even a stereotype. I'm defying basically what is the average person's reaction and response as a human being, and I am a normal human being, by the way, thank you very much, but I am called by God to experience it and then report it, make sure that it's known in every detail, and also everybody engaging in it. All right, so this is the entity that's engaging in that, and they do this to murder people, so don't get that mistaken. They do it to commit murder. And they've committed murder of people, celebrities murdered, politicians murdered, the people of the state who I represent. I think I represent the average person minding their business. I should be a private citizen, but I've exposed to you that I'm not, and neither are they. They are engaged in what is surveillance, and they murder private citizens. People that are not on TV, people that are not celebrities, people that don't even care about that, perhaps, people that have strived to be. Okay, they want to be in the industry. They want to be amongst what they might not understand are demons, and they commit murder. They'll sacrifice you while you're trying to be cool and be in with them, and they'll kill you and not think twice about it. And it's a sacrifice unto Satan, stealing whatever ideas you have. Spiritually attacking you, where they believe that they can steal your talents and your intellectual ability. These demons are clowns. That witchcraft doesn't work on me. And I'm also going to tell on you with regard to what you tried to do, though. And I'm going to make sure everybody knows that you're a psychopath, that you are, in fact, mentally ill while you try those tactics on me. I'm going to make sure that that's known. Okay, so this is what the entity is engaging in against the ordinary target individual that's already dead before you hear about it. They've already been written off and discarded in society before you learn about it. And this is where the entity is engaging in that amongst a population. That's millions of people that are acting together to try to kill someone. Okay, and typically they get away with it. This is why I'm facing such level of defiance, because it's not happening. Not only is it not happening, you're going to be openly shamed and exposed for it, and I'm going to prosecute you. That's a very specific, precise term. I'm going to prosecute you. And these demons that are accustomed to getting away with corruption are very much defiant, but that's going to be used to prosecute as well. Just because you're defiant about what Christ Jesus has said doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And by the way, there's judgment for that. There's judgment for it. The entity is engaging in what is the pattern of conduct, and it is the evidence against, this is evidence. While they're playing games and playing cast a spell, spells that don't work, and I'm letting you know about what they are, who they are, what they do, how they do it, what they think they know while they do it. I'm showing you also how does that translate into a prosecution, and I'm also letting you know about the mindset behind it, which is also informing federal legislation. That's a sex offender's mind that is stalking with light. That's a sex offender's mind that's engaging in what is monitoring in private spaces. The entity is doing so while they're keeping the evidence under surveillance. That's a terrorist. That surmises they will get away with murdering in the face of evidence by the federal government. That ongoing disdain for law, that, for example, the entity speaking through Robert Rivera, the demons that are stalking by plane right now, that level of impunity, that's relevant to informing what is federal legislation around what is domestic terrorism in the United States. Homegrown terrorism by the governor of the states, by the mayors in the states, by law enforcement. These are demons that are engaging in terrorists. They're not law enforcement. They're engaged in criminal surveillance. They commit murder and kidnapping. They set American citizens up, and they do it with blatant disregard and hatred, disdain for the Constitution. That's what you're witnessing while a demon is still stalking using planes in the specific environment. That is obsession, ongoing criminal monitoring, and there's no secret. There is an ongoing federal case. There is a very real public investigation, a federal one. And there is also a very real consequence. While psychopaths are showing you the fact that demons are real, Satan is real, Satan is a spirit, and Satan is also the spirit of mental illness, while you're seeing it operate over people who are stalking in a grocery store, and you all know what they're doing. That's the mental illness they don't want you to know about. That's the conspiracy to murder they don't want you to know about. And by the way, they look like fools stalking in engineer light, fake light that is designed to monitor and stalk somebody. While you keep your back to someone, do you know how absurdly psychopathic that is? I'm stalking you, but I'm going to keep my back to you while I'm making sure I block your path. Those demons know exactly who I am, what I'm doing. They know what's going on with my genitalia. That's how obsessive they are. And they, in their minds, their sick minds are, first of all, stalking in a grocery store, and they're all on a stage, a very poorly designed stage. Everybody sees the bad acting going on in California. And not only that, they're engaging in it while you're looking at, you see that engineer light? That's a psychopath. That's a demon-possessed stalker who is conspiring murder by virtue of being employed at that grocery store, by virtue of being present at that grocery store, by virtue of being in the sky space around that grocery store. That's the government and the people of the state who are in the shoes of the government. That's how detailed the P.O.C. is with regard to your knowledge to know what everybody is doing. Everyone. And they're all demons. And just because I'm in Ontario, that doesn't leave out the demons that you need to know about. The demons that are identified as quote-unquote celebrities, as Satan would like to term itself. That's a man-made term. There's no such thing as any sort of celebrity status amongst Christ Jesus. They're all the same. All right? And they are perverts that like to monitor genitalia. And that's because they have the spirit of Satan. That's the spirit of sex offender. Okay? This is what the entity is doing with regard to gang stalking. All right, so this is the P.O.C. I'm at the Ontario Town Square. It is 6:38 p.m. and the fake sun is arriving at this venue, not already present, where that would be, again, relevant to what is even trying to act like this is the natural environment, and it's not. Because also duration of time analysis, not only was it not already here, it's in alignment to me while I'm on the bus coming up the same route that I am at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Also, it's not here when it's over me at Economy Inn, where the entity that is Robert Rivera, a gang stalking, trash, dumpster diving demon that's engaging in the pattern of conduct at Economy Inn under the fake sun, where it's present during the sunrise. That's where UPS was gang stalking, and the city of Ontario had a helicopter flying over my head in that parking lot at 7:16 in the morning, where the sun would never be over the same venue. It's the same analysis where I'm showing you clear evidence of targeting. Targeting is a synonym. Targeting is a term of art. This is jargon for gang stalking for amongst demons. Okay, you're looking at on the big picture, the aerial view. You're looking at traffic. You're looking at pedestrians. You're looking at people that are going about traveling, going to work. You're actually looking at what are demons, and they're not going anywhere. They are demons that are maintaining presence around me. And that fake sun is what is over one person as you're looking at all that activity around that fake sun remaining on the east side of that person and the west side of that person that stays at one location. Those are demons that are pacing all around. This is the reality of what they're actually doing in the spirit and what they are accomplishing physically, and they are engaging in the illusion of going somewhere. Ontario's OMNITRANS bus route 63, they're literally pacing because you have a route that's going around the same route all day long. That's a picture of what the demon-possessed people of the state are doing. They're maintaining presence around me. They're going in circles, the same route around me all day, all day, all day. Well, and the evidence of it is the fake sun that's not going anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. They're all stalkers. And they're stalkers whose objective is murder. And yes, they are politicians. They are holding office. They're celebrities, so-called celebrities, who are acting toward murder. You watch people on television that are banking on innocent people dying so that they can profit off of it. This is what Tracy Banks has solicited with regard to this government system against her own daughter. Now, if that's evidence, very clear to give you a practical, real working, how does that mental illness operate? It will have the person of the state, the people of the state targeting their own children, putting them in the lottery of killing people, which the government accomplishes through gang stalking. That's what's wrong with Tracy Banks. And that's what's wrong with everybody that targeted me with Tracy Banks. And that is being met with federal prison. You're going to federal prison when you conspire the death of your friend who you were targeting. You're going to federal prison when you conspire the death of your sibling whom you're gang stalking. You're going to federal prison where you conspire the death of your child whom you're gang stalking. You're going to a federal prison where you're conspiring the death of your niece or your cousin while you're gang stalking. You're going to federal prison when you're conspiring the death of your so-called best buddy or your colleague or your co-worker. This is the entity that has inside connection to the targeted individual. You're going to federal prison. You're going to federal prison. That's where you're going. That's where murderers like you belong. That's where sex offenders like you belong. You're acting like you're a family member, like you're a friend, and you're sitting around lusting after that person's genitalia. You're a sex offender, and you're going to federal prison for lusting after the death of that innocent person. You're going to federal prison. And the demons whose name the target individual does not have to know, they're acting in conformity to the same pattern of conduct. That's also why you're going to federal prison. The gang stalking government that's acting pursuant to the same pattern of conduct as you, that's why you're going to federal prison. While you have what is the motive of profiting off of the target individual's demise, oh, you thought you were going to get my money and my property? No, you're going to run me my money, and you're going to federal prison. You're going to federal prison for what the governor is facilitating in the state of California, and you having that relational status, you're going to federal prison. You are going to federal prison, and you know exactly who you are. You sat in court and defamed my character. You are going to federal prison for conspiring death. That's what that is. Now that the pattern of conduct is understood, and you're understanding the significance of defaming the character of the target individual, that is the evidence, the criminal conspiracy to murder. And you completed that conspiracy when you defamed the character of the target individual in a gang stalking courthouse. You're going to federal prison. Everything you did is surrounding what is the evidence of gang stalking, which is only engaged in with regard to murder. What the Ontario Fire Department, Michael GERKEN, is doing, you're going to federal prison. That's how the demons that you conspire with put you in prison. That's how smart you are. Tracy Banks, Tommy Allen Banks, Anthony Juwan Kennedy, Anthony Williams, Shanita Ramaya McLean, Ariana Elena Lopez, Carrie Heberlin, Edwin Lamont Grant, You came out from Minnesota to engage in participating in a fake case against me, you're going to federal prison. The entity that's gang stalking, if I didn't already state, Eric Corey Spencer, that demon's going to federal prison. He committed kidnapping with the same city of Ontario. He committed kidnapping with the Ontario Fire Department. He's going to federal prison. They're gang stalking right now under a fake son. This is how comprehensive and complete the evidence is. The sirens is audible activity. They're crossing path. They're gang stalking at an Ontario Fire Department. Michael GERKEN is a whole psychopath. He's incompetent. He's not even fit to be in firefighting, which they're not interested in putting out fires. They're engaged in surveillance. The evidence also exposes that. That's why they're under a fake sun at the Ontario Fire Department, the same plaza where the sun was not present today. If they even had any chance of trying to in court establish that they're not engaged in surveillance as a fire department. They are. And they've engaged in documented acts of criminal summoning just like they did right now. And they're doing it while federal case is in operation. The entity whose names I just stated, you're going to federal prison for the foolishness and the ongoing inability to control itself as an entity that's already caught up. Operating under Gavin Newsom, you're going to federal prison. For gang stalking with Tracy Banks. The so-called brains of the operation, are you kidding? A promiscuous high school graduate, that's what you put your future on? You're going to federal prison. You're going to federal prison. The entity that's gang stalking as a corrupt police department with Tracy Banks and Jason Fields, you're going to federal prison. That's where you're going. And you have blown what is the cover of everybody in the state of California, by the way, when you engaged in targeting me. You're going to federal prison. There's no other clear way to say that. While you have this dumpster diving demon at room 234 of Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue under a 4 p.m. fake sun, where it's never going to be over the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library, where the Ontario Fire Department is gang stalking in the absence of the sun today. We're doing so while the fake sun travels to be at this location where it's at 6 and 7 in the morning. You're going to federal prison. All right, that's the P.O.C. And this is the entity that's gang stalking celebrities, gang stalking politicians, gang stalking officials. And they did so because they thought they were going to, you already have money. You gang stalking celebrities, you're stealing more money. You're trying to steal my you can't steal my intellect. You can't steal my knowledge. You can't steal through demonic activity, your sex rituals and having sex with children. You're nothing but a pedophile. Satan has deceived you, and you are going to be prosecuted. Your name specifically associated with pedophilia, Satanism, sacrifices, that is murder, and the criminal conspiracy to murder people in California. That's what you are being associated with. That's what you're directly engaged in. While you're sitting up listening to my podcast and YouTube is affecting and trying to manipulate the views so that nobody knows that all of California is listening to me expose them on the venue of the internet. Because the feds know that as well. It is currently 6:46 p.m. And that's the evidence of every demon who does not have any sort of status in the spirit. You're no celebrity. You're a pedophile. You're not elite. You're a thief. You're a liar. You're corrupt. You're a psychopath, stalking in grocery stores, stalking in a city hall, stalking at a police department, stalking as a fire department. You're stalking using ambulances. This is embarrassing. It's pathetic. This is what the demon-possessed do. And their psychopathic, unhinged, demented behavior, this whole system is supposed to bear some sort of evidence about the targeted individual's mind state. This is preposterous. It requires corruption, which is already proven. And because you sought to defame my character and all the ways in which you sought to, you're going to federal prison. All of you, you know who you are, and so do the feds. You're going to federal prison because that's why the entity is stalking me now, which while I'm documenting it, guess what's happening to you? You're going to federal prison. The demons whose license plates I'm documenting, they're gang stalking with the fake friends and family who conspired my murder with the state of California. You are off the top by default. You're going to federal prison. So you can count on every day that I'm documenting, every day I'm publishing evidence, every video that I get about the Ontario PD. You know where you're going. You're going to prison. You're going to federal prison. So get your stuff together, get your affairs in order, because you're going to federal prison. All right, it's currently 6:48 p.m. The fake sun is at 224 North Euclid Avenue, where I'm present at 9 o'clock in the morning, at 8 o'clock, at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's where the fake sun arrived, followed to this same address, where the sun could never be in Florida at any point in day with this ridiculous environment. That's evidence of stalking by a government that uses all manner of terrorizing means to stalk and monitor someone. The only thing that's monitoring is Satan. Those are demon-possessed people that are monitoring. And these companies are letting you know who's murdering people in the United States. The businesses, the logos behind murder in the United States, acts of terrorism in the United States, not accidents. They're not accidents. It is currently 6:48 p.m. It is August 31st, 2025. Okay, it's 7:01 p.m. I'm going to document what is the entity at 7:01. I'm looking at here, and I also have the evidence of it on Cash App. Putting in a payment, and then the entity starts stalking by amplified helicopter activity. Simultaneity of internet use, and the particular transaction is a payment on the venue of the internet. With regard to third-party facilitating venue, Ramada, a hotel room, and the entity is engaging what is giving me a pop-up. Your payment or your reservation is unable to be processed. This is occurring with simultaneity of helicopter activity. This is the entity that's monitoring online, and this is the entity that's engaging in gang stalking. Ramada by Wyndham is already identified as a third-party innkeeper, engaging in the sex offense of gang stalking a patron, doing so with the Ontario Police that is engaged in ongoing kidnapping pursuant to the conspiracy to murder me. They are engaged in this pattern of conduct while they're engaged in federal stalking on the venue of the internet, while interfering with the transaction that I'm engaged in. That's the entity that's also violating my privacy with regard to my credit card numbers, what it is that I'm doing on the internet. The Ontario Police, the government, has no warrant of probable cause to engage in what is nothing other than harassment, basically blocking the ability to reserve a room. And also it's harassment. The entity immediately changes the price of that room, and it's the entity that's directly engaged in that. This is, again, it's petty because, I'm going to block your hotel payment and then I'm going to fly around in helicopter. This is what this demon is doing on video. The Ontario Police, under the fake sun, by the way. He's standing in front of me, cheesing from ear to ear, talking to another demon. He's monitoring me. The entity flies behind by helicopter. The entity is doing that centering around a transaction that I'm doing on the internet. The entity is going to federal prison and is being disbanded. So on the one hand, it is very, very petty, but this is relevant to what American citizens are subject to when you are gang stalking as, again, murderers that bear weapons and authority under the law that they don't have. The governor has no authority under the Constitution to maintain ongoing surveillance by corrupt law enforcement agencies. The governor has no authority to engage in, nor mayor, nor demon-possessed corrupt terrorist leader like Mike LORENZ or Shannon Dykes have no authority under the Constitution to maintain surveillance through these corrupt terrorist organizations that are then hostile to being exposed, but you are nonetheless exposed when you engage in harassing me pursuant to federal stalking while I'm engaged in a transaction on the venue of the internet where they're engaged in surveillance. Okay, this is the P.O.C. At 7:04 p.m. This is what you see published on X. While that demon is wearing an Ontario Police uniform, and the Ontario Police are under the fake sun that it was under at 9:24 in the morning, where they're stalking right now at 7 p.m. And this is why, again, who's going to federal prison while the entity engages in this exposition regarding domestic terrorism in the United States? First of all, L. Edwards is. They engaged in the latest kidnapping at Starbucks on the same street where the fake sun is remaining right now, where that same department engages in kidnapping, okay, pursuant to criminal summoning while they're stalking, just like they are now, and they're engaged in surveillance online. L. Edwards is going to prison because you know exactly what he was doing on camera July 4, 2025. And it's pursuant to terrorism and ongoing psychological torture, threatening as a terrorist organization because you are hostile, just like they're harassing now while I'm engaged in a transaction, and you think it's prudent to be identified in more evidence as stalking using helicopter and engineered light under a fake sun at the same address where you're doing the same thing at 7, 8, and 9 in the morning. Because you're hostile while sex offenders, while demons like Missy Elliott are being identified with regard to this statewide pattern of conduct because you think that that is prudent and it's not. The entity is going to federal prison. This is exactly what is the evidence that's putting all of the entity that engaged in defaming my character pursuant to the government's conspiracy to murder me by trying to steal property. And the entity thinks that gang stalking will defame an American citizen, and it will not. It will put actual psychopaths in prison like L. Edwards, A. Quesada, and Alex Escobar. They're going to federal prison for this July 4, 2025 kidnapping. And the July 5th, 2025 means of harassment with Starbucks, the same corporation at 706 West Hall Boulevard, under the fake sun, by the way. That was at Economy Inn, not over Starbucks at 706 West Hall Boulevard, where the entity is engaging what is monitoring. And my receipt with Cash App is speaking to a transaction that the Ontario Police interferes with while they're engaged in monitoring on the venue of the internet with the people of the state. And Ramada represents the people of the state. That's why the fake sun's over me at Ramada, 1841 East G Street, where the fake sun is present during the 4 p.m. hour, the same situation that's ongoing at Economy Inn, where the sun is apparently remaining in the city of Ontario over the 60 freeway and over the 10 freeway as a matter of documentation from morning until sunset. Either way you flip that and look at that at all angles, the Ontario police is stalking and engaging in surveillance on the internet, and they engage in what is harassment while admittedly conceding to surveillance on the internet where they don't have any warrant or probable cause. This is exactly why the ignoramuses co-conspiring with them are going to federal prison. That includes Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer, Tommy Allen Banks, Ariana Elena Lopez, Carrie Heberlin, anybody else engaging in what is defaming my character, Anthony Jawan Kennedy, Anthony Williams, you stepped in court, Shanita Ramaya McLean. I'm sure that puppet went in court defaming my character while she's gang stalking with this entity. They're going to prison. This is the system that they engaged in, and gang stalking any American citizen is never evidence of mental illness on the part of that American citizen. The psychopaths that are stalking in helicopters under a whole fake environment, those are the psychopaths that are going to be diagnosed and criminally prosecuted. This is relevant to what is an unlawful and unauthorized invasion of privacy, which a population shares. They are all aware of how much money is in my Cash App account, my credit card number, what it is that I'm doing on the internet, what website I'm looking at. The Ontario police have no warrant or probable cause to engage in what is an unlawful search. That's under existing criminal law, under existing laws. You have to have a warrant to do that. They're engaged in surveillance. They don't have any warrant. And they're doing so pursuant to helicopter. That's the hallmark with regard to demons that engage in gang stalking in California. That's why Pasadena police are doing the same thing in the same exact environment, which is impossible to be the natural environment. It's showing where Pasadena police are targeting me in the same manner that the Ontario Police Department are. And that's the foolishness behind the demons that lack self-control, who put themselves in federal prison. As I use all of that evidence and you're witnessing it, putting all of them away where they belong. And pedophiles that are in the music industry, pedophiles that are in the movie industry and in the television industry, guess what? They're being exposed as well and prosecuted as well for pedophilia, because they're gang stalking. This system is centered around trafficking children, while they're gang stalking the wrong person. They're gang stalking the person that does not hesitate to drop names about who are the demons and what are they doing. What are they doing outside of the bounds of the law? In fact, let me remind you about the law that they're exercising authority that they don't have under. That's who they're gang stalking. That's what the Ontario police are doing at 7:08 p.m. This is P.O.C. That's federal stalking surveillance under the existing federal statute, Title 18. And they're doing so on third-party facilitating venue super.com, where surveillance is underway on websites. That's what YouTube is. It's a venue online. YouTube is engaged in surveillance. Google is engaged in surveillance. The website represents an address, just like 1841 East G Street, just like 2301 South Euclid Avenue. Super.com is an address where surveillance is underway. And they're doing so pursuant to invasion of privacy, which is putting, again, that department is being disbanded, and they're being disbanded for this level of criminal activity while they are simultaneously being exposed for it. That's the mentally ill entity that lacks self-control, that puts itself in federal prison, by the way. All right? That's the handiwork of Michael Gerken. They're in the same plaza under a fake sun after 7 p.m., the ones that you heard sounding their sirens, the same city of Ontario, P.O.C. While the entity is doing what with regard to any hotel that I purchase, that I reserve a room for, keeping my vagina under surveillance in that hotel, which also the evidence is proving. Okay? The entity that's gang stalking, these third-party innkeepers, are engaged in surveillance on the internet. They're engaged in surveillance at their venues, the addresses where the fake sun is over me, where the entity proves that surveillance is underway online. And they think that it's prudent to be documented engaging in that. These are the demons that are, again, their expiration date with regard to engaging in this is long overdue. Okay? This is P.O.C. It is 7:10 p.m. Demons that are engaging in monitoring with the Ontario Police Department are doing so at Ontario Town Square. These are sex offenders gang stalking with celebrities whose names you know, politicians whose names you know, doing so as psychopaths that get their rocks off by being pedophiles, and the government facilitates their ability to engage in that sexual violence and not facing any repercussions because it's the government's P.O.C. They engage in what is committing murders in concert with that government that's engaged in gang stalking the Ontario police. They're not any agency engaging in actual investigations of criminal activity. They're engaged in the criminal activity. And the government that's a sex offender is enabling sex offenders to share in their sexual impulses and their violent impulses while they're engaged in this pattern of conduct together. Okay? You'll see uploaded to the Google Drive at 7:11 p.m. a demon that's monitoring what I'm doing on the internet. He's crossing paths, having a prop, which is his dog, while he's stalking in the environment where the fake sun is present from sunrise until sunset at 224 North Euclid Avenue. All right, this is P.O.C. You'll see engineer light on the top of the large clock at the Ontario Town Square. You'll see the fake moon. I'm taking images of that right now. 7:11 p.m. And this is where the entity is engaging what is rapidly changing the price of the hotel room, doing so while the entity then engages in psychological torture. Ooh, then you're hearing the helicopter act. This is the entity that engages in psychological torture, trying to haunt, trying to terrorize and harass. The demons that want to be in a scary movie so bad, they're going to federal prison. That's going to be their real life scary movie. And let me let you know who some of their names are. C. Torres is going to federal prison. B. Hook, Nathan Morgan, L. Martinez, A. Quesada, Alex Escobar, L. Edwards, Hazelwood, C. Hazelwood, and Owens, they're going to federal prison. Corey Watson, he's going to federal prison. And the demon that's gang stalking with Corey Watson at Starbucks at 6:30 in the morning. This is the same street where they're gang stalking at the Ontario Town Square at 7 o'clock at night, where I'm showing you pedophiles that are monitoring as a government program. This is the same street where Corey Watson is stalking at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the sun's not going to be from 6 until 7 p.m. This is where a bunch of demons are walking their dogs while they're stalking one person whose vagina they're all obsessed with, while they practice having sex with children, while they do so with regard to not having any talent as rappers and singers, and they think that that's going to get them famous. And they don't have any talent. They're engaged in having sex with minor kids and worshiping demonic spirits while they're stalking a person that is prosecuting them and embarrassing them on the internet, and they're also going to be embarrassed in federal court. This is the criminal conduct of Mike LORENZ. He's being removed from position. That's without question. His mental illness is at the forefront of that prosecution of that entire agency that's being removed. They're not a police department. And that's why they're worried about a hotel room that I'm checking out and engaging what is evidence against itself. It's going right on the internet. It's the evidence that's putting Tracy Banks in federal prison. It's 7:13 p.m. and the entity's engaging in this while I'm documenting the license plates of the people of the state. Stalking on one street under a fake sun over the same street. That's how invested they are in where I am and where my vagina goes, including whatever hotel room that is. You're a psychopath walking your dog as though you don't look like a stalker. Those are the psychopaths that are gang stalking. This is P.O.C. It's 7:13 p.m. That's federal stalking on the venue of the internet, where the entity is engaged in an unlawful search of communication devices, ongoing violation of privacy on the internet in your communication devices, and they're doing so because they're hostile. Also, these are psychopaths. Demons are mad because they're being exposed. You cannot understand the importance of not being identified as a predator, not being identified as a domestic terrorist, because you'll go to federal prison. And that boat has already sailed. In other words, L. Edwards is going to federal prison. There's nothing that he could do to change that. He's going to federal prison. You don't understand that it's important that you not be caught engaging in any more of that conduct, anything likened to that. That's why you're going to federal prison in the first place. It's currently 7:14 p.m. This is 7:15 p.m. Repeating the same conduct. The train is supposed to cover up the helicopter activity. It's P.O.C. This is super.com. And this is relevant to Ramada by Wyndham, that's also monitoring with the Ontario Police. Those are the big bad demons that want to be in a Freddy Krueger movie so bad. Their real life is going to be when they're being stripped of Ontario Police uniforms, and they're going to be placed in uniforms suited for a federal prison, and that's going to be a real life scary movie. It is 7:15 p.m. This is federal stalking. There's no train. That's amplified audible activity, and it's supposed to be covering up the helicopter activity. But you and I already know that Mike LORENZ is obsessed with my vagina, and he's stalking everywhere that I go in helicopter. While the demons who are the Ontario Police have proven that surveillance is a very real thing, and demon possession is also a very real thing in California. They're monitoring online while Ramada by Wyndham on super.com is engaged in targeting. This is what, by the way, this is how you know what YouTube is doing. I'm going to prosecute YouTube. This is why you don't remove evidence when an American citizen is blowing the whistle and their life is under threat, which you are unnoticed by. You're unnoticed about that. You're going to be prosecuted for that. I'm going to drain your pockets. This exact criminal conduct is why YouTube is directly engaging in it. And YouTube is doing it with the same real-time knowledge. Excuse me. It is, by the way, current time 7:16 p.m. when the entity is maintaining ongoing helicopter activity with simultaneity to a new search on the internet. This is revealing surveillance that's underway on the internet as I'm documenting this at the same time. P.O.C. That's the fake moon that the Ontario International Airport is monitoring to. The audible activity is the amplified train that the entity was maintaining as the Ontario Police Department were stalking by helicopter with simultaneity to what I'm doing on this device, on the venue of the internet, on the Ontario Wi-Fi network, where the City of Ontario, the Ontario Police are engaging in criminal surveillance, which is putting L. Edwards and C. Hazelwood, putting Officer Owens, every demon gang stalking at this venue during all hours of the day under the fake sun, conspiring my murder by gang stalking as a corrupt police department. Nathan Morgan, B. Hook, C. Torres, and L. Martinez, Corey Watson, the Demons gang stalking on June 16, 2022 at the OVITT Family Community Library at 10:29 a.m. on video. They're all going to federal prison, and this is relevant to surveillance that's on the venue of the internet. The fake moon is present where the entity followed with the fake sun this evening. That was not over the Ontario Town Square, the OVITT Family Community Library already. That's why it was over the roof of the Economy Inn where I was located at that same venue. The entity is indeed monitoring on communication devices. This is relevant to Title 18 federal stalking, sounding helicopter activity with simultaneity to my searches, my Google searches, where, by the way, Google is engaged in surveillance with the entity that's conspiring murder as well. YouTube is engaging in what is criminal activity and furtherance of murder while they remove evidence off the venue of the internet. That is evidence and intellectual property that under their guidelines and policies of that third-party company that is also in the specific environment. I stopped recording. I'm going to keep documenting, though. That is in that specific environment. They don't have any authority under existing law and laws that shall come into existence to prosecute surveillance on the venue of the internet. This is the entity that is operating under the illusion of privacy, under the illusion of the absence of a criminal surveillance system, which is speaking to malice. So you were conspiring the murder of someone as you are interfering with that case, as you're interfering with that evidence that's being published in order to save the life of an American citizen. You're doing so necessarily based on the false premise that you know is there. You're relying on the existence of so-called privacy, which you know does not exist because you're engaged in surveillance through literally your website on the venue of the internet with the Ontario Police, who are monitoring pursuant to what I'm doing on the internet in the specific environment. YouTube and Google are relevant to the specific environment because the fake sun is over Google in San Bruno, California. All right, they're aware of the surveillance system that they're engaged in, okay? This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:19 p.m. My video did stop recording, but I'm still going to upload it. It's 1 minute and 25 seconds. You'll see the Ontario International Airport. You'll see engineer light, amber-colored light. That's not sunlight. While the Ontario International Airport is flying above, that's stalking in the path. They're engaged in surveillance with the Ontario Police, who would rather be disbanded and be subject to federal prison. All of their demon-possessed, gang-stalking officers, the entirety, every single last one that I documented, acting in furtherance of a conspiracy to murder me by gang-stalking in those uniforms, they're going to prison, and they would rather that than an American citizen exercise their freedom of speech rights and pay for any hotel room that I want because the entity is also very fearful of documentation. And documentation that you are creating in real time while you engage in that documented act of federal stalking under Title 18. That is the entity that is mentally ill, that doesn't exercise any actual reasoning skills, any logic, has no strategy with regard to being prosecuted, with regard to being in a court case, in court, having no actual or reasonable defense at all. That's the entity that's mentally ill, okay? And that is, by the way, that level of incompetence is speaking to your permanent removal from law enforcement, in addition to what is being identified as a domestic terrorist masquerading as law enforcement. You're done, but the mental illness of the Ontario Police is also why they're being removed from law enforcement altogether. It's currently 7:20 p.m. The entity is now claiming on the website where real-time surveillance is underway that all the rooms are booked up. Okay, so this is rapidly changing. First, increasing the price, and guess who's first of all monitoring on the internet? That's not actually necessarily the case. And also, the entity that's monitoring online, the millions of people keeping me under surveillance, are the ones that are also engaged in booking up those rooms as I look at it. So it's both. It's the same. It's the P.O.C. nonetheless. I want to document that. Super.com is engaged in that pattern of conduct. YouTube. This is relevant to what Google is engaged in. Okay, and they're doing so with the government that is the state of California that's conspiring murder. And this is how detailed and thorough the surveillance is with regard to where it is that you're booking a hotel, where you're grocery shopping, okay, where you're going to buy water and milk at the 7-Eleven. All of these places I've shown the entity stalking me by the Ontario Police, by the way. They're being disbanded. Their obsession with my vagina and their obsession with any and everything, that's because they are, in fact, demon-possessed. But they are criminals acting of their own volition, and they have decided to engage in state surveillance, conspiring the murder, while they're also engaged in federal stalking, Title 18. This is multiple bases of criminal activity by that police department. They're being disbanded, and every one that I documented, which is relevant to a public investigation, and I am not the only one maintaining an investigation. I may be leading it, but I'm not the only one maintaining an investigation, and they're being disbanded. They're going to federal prison as I document them. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:22 p.m.
That's the fake moon that the Ontario International Airport is monitoring to. The audible activity is the amplified train that the entity was maintaining as the Ontario Police Department were stalking by helicopter with simultaneity to what I'm doing on this device, on the venue of the internet, on the Ontario Wi-Fi network, where the City of Ontario, the Ontario Police are engaging in criminal surveillance, which is putting L. Edwards and C. Hazelwood, putting Officer Owens, every demon gang stalking at this venue during all hours of the day under the fake sun, conspiring my murder by gang stalking as a corrupt police department. Nathan Morgan, B. Hook, C. Torres, L. Martinez, Corey Watson, the Demons gang stalking on June 16, 2022 at the OVITT Family Community Library at 10:29 a.m. on video. They're all going to federal prison, and this is relevant to surveillance that's on the venue of the internet. The fake moon is present where the entity followed with the fake sun this evening. That was not over the Ontario Town Square, the OVITT Family Community Library already. That's why it was over the roof of the Economy Inn where I was located at that same venue. The entity is indeed monitoring on communication devices. This is relevant to Title 18 federal stalking. Sounding helicopter activity was simultaneity to my searches, my Google searches, where, by the way, Google is engaged in surveillance with the entity that's conspiring murder as well. YouTube is engaging in what is criminal activity and furtherance of murder while they remove evidence off the venue of the internet. That is.
Okay, documentation. I just want to include this. This is relevant to federal stalking, and this is what is informing you regarding the evidence of surveillance, okay? So the entity is rapidly changing from affordable pricing, and again, this is simultaneous with the helicopter activity. So this is the entity that's sitting up and engaging what is monitoring my internet activity, and it's just very pathetic. It's very pathetic what the entity does with helicopter. Ooh, the helicopter is sounding, because this is supposed to, you're associating your inability to check out to reserve a hotel room. Oh, there's the ongoing helicopter activity. This is the entity is doing it to the wrong person. They're doing it to the federal prosecutor. This is going to be the substance of a federal case against very individual names and also an entire agency, against a mayor, against the state, against what's going on in the whole state of California. While while you can take the evidence of what Pomona, California is doing at around the same time in the specific environment, what would ever be in Pomona, California, while the entity's keeping a fake sun over Ontario Town Square over me, doing so with what is regard, well, in this supernatural environment, you're looking at an ongoing pattern of helicopter activity that the target individual has also experienced. This is an entity that is associating what is harassment targeting on the internet with gang stalking by helicopter. And what I want to document is pursuant to federal stalking, that's surveillance on the internet, rapidly changing what is available rooms, what are also affordable rooms, meaning in the $80 range, rapidly increasing while the entity uses helicopter to engage in that pattern of conduct. And you're understanding the entity that's engaging with stalking you in helicopters, that's supposed to be, again, I represent the ordinary target individual, so I am advocating. So because I don't actually fear of a demon that's stalking me, you're stalking me in a helicopter because you're scared of me. Number one, you're engaging in what is kidnapping as a corrupt police department because you're begging to go to federal prison, because that's where you're going. You're doing this to American citizens. Be prepared to go to federal prison. You're getting locked up, and that is not a game. They're going straight to federal prison, and the entity is going to find a system of streamline, strict liability basis. Gang stalking police officers, federal prison for criminal surveillance. They're conspiring, murdering American citizens, and you're going to prison. They're engaging in the surveillance system, and this is how you're going to crack down on it. They're going to federal prison. The entity is engaging in this and associating what is targeting on the venue of the internet with the stalking by the Ontario Police Department and everybody that is looking and witnessing. And I want to be clear, more than what YouTube would like reflected in the views. This is why I'm also going to prosecute. But the entity is engaging in what is looking at the Ontario police who are engaged in gang stalking. So now you're aware the context is that surveillance is underway with regard to what it is that you're doing on the internet, and the entity that's gang stalking relevant position. This is relevant to the entity that's engaged in targeting on YouTube, for example, trying to steal my content, steal my ideas, act like they're me, which you can't even do that. You can't even speak like me because you can't act like somebody that's highly educated. You don't even read. So you'd have to spend most of your time in a thesaurus if you know what that is. A lot of you don't. Okay, so you're engaging in the pattern of conduct. You can't act like me because you can't speak like me. You can't conduct or present yourself in the way that I do, nor can you explain the evidence with regard to a purpose, which is not making money. It is not trying to act like you're somebody that you're not. It's exposing public corruption. That is also relevant to, what is existing laws and laws that shall come into existence. You can't explain any of that because you can't mimic intelligence. That's something you either have or you don't. And witchcraft isn't going to get it. Now, what you're going to pay attention to, though, the entity that's targeting, how many of these demons that are engaged in targeting on the venue of the internet, specifically YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, with regard to targeting my content, targeting me, profiting from it, and those third-party companies, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, etc., permitting it because they're not ignorantly engaging in that on those websites, as I'm showing you today, as the entity is exposing. These third-party venues on the venue of the internet are engaged in surveillance, and they are facilitating that while they are targeting me. The entity is engaging in this conduct, and how many, what you're going to pay attention to, have had sex with Jason Isaac Fields, have a sexual relationship or some sort of connection to the entity that has been defaming my character and targeting and trying to steal my property, because that's where also you will find the connection. Sexual activity, some sort of sexual relationship, the same sex cult, the same demon-possessed entity that's targeting me has had some sort of sexual relationship with Jason Isaac Fields, Tracy Banks, this sex cult that's engaged in gang stalking. That's also what you're going to want to look into. How many of the fake little demons calling themselves tarot card readers have had sexual relations with Jason Isaac Fields? That's what you want to look into as well, okay? Because he's engaged in that while he's recruiting, just like Tracy Banks, through their sexual activity, recruiting because they're demons. Okay, and they're engaging what is spreading this demonic spirit. It's not a defense in federal court. You're going to be prosecuted. And it's your own problem if you don't know how to control your sexual impulses, and then you get demons on you, and then you're engaging in volitional conduct as far as the federal government is concerned, which you will be prosecuted for. All right, the entity is engaging at 7:31 p.m. This is surveillance on the venue of the internet. All right, this is, again, freedom of speech being criminally violated by the government. And it's relevant to everything that's under surveillance, including on those websites, those third-party. YouTube is a business. Okay, you're understanding the big picture. Super.com is a business. They're engaged in surveillance online. Okay, and the people of the state that are engaged in surveilling one person, that's an exceptional, extraordinary violation of privacy. They're all violating the target individual by monitoring my vagina as well. They are sharing in surveillance, monitoring a communication device. The government has no warrant or probable cause. Neither do the people of the state who are doing so with that government. It's an unprecedented violation of privacy. And they do this preceding murder that they commit as an entity. This is P.O.C. It is 7:31 p.m. at 224 North Euclid Avenue. On the venue of the internet, this is Ontario Wi-Fi that's engaged in federal stalking and facilitation of federal stalking. Surveillance underway on that Wi-Fi network via communication devices with the Ontario police who are stalking by helicopter. I couldn't make all that up. I couldn't make it all up. The entity is engaged in the case that I have presented and that I've proven. This is P.O.C. That's under the fake moon at 224 North Euclid Avenue. That's called audible activity. The other iteration of Alan D. WAPNER, stalking and furtherance of murder, is the amplified train, with the demons stalking with commercial plane over the same location. This is the same airport targeting at Economy Inn at 7:17 in the morning, and I'm documenting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon that fake sun over that same venue. This is stalking. It's 7:35 p.m. Alan D. Wapner is engaged in federal stalking, that is surveillance, while conspiring the murder of an American citizen, doing so by abusing a position in government. He's a gang stalker, a co-conspirator to murder, engaged in surveillance on the Ontario City Council, and also engaging in domestic terrorism as the president of the Airport Authority, where all criminal monitoring, domestic terrorism, and psychological torture is occurring under his watch with his knowledge and his specific engagement in it. And he also knows that he is conspiring the murder of somebody that's aware of it, myself, which is relevant to the malice and relevant to the ongoing obsession with harming me that this psychopath is sharing with an entity. Doing so with regard to what is evidence of mental illness under a fake sun and a fake moon. This is a raging psychopath who has maintaining commercial planes stalking me throughout the city on one street, by the way, Euclid Avenue, under a fake sun. That in and of itself was putting Alan D. WAPNER out of position and exposing what he is and who he's doing it with. That's the governor, Gavin Newsom. All right, this is P.O.C. It's 7:36 p.m. 7:37 p.m. All right, those are, again, that's not published on the website with regard to arrivals and departures. When you're taking off from 2500 Airport Drive, you're not hovering over the entire town square. And the sun is never going to remain on one street or over one property for 12 hours. It's the same analysis. This is P.O.C. This is relevant, again, to the delusional psychopaths that are exposed as conspiring the murder of American citizens. And this is what the entity is doing in the city of Ontario, stalking by planes and helicopters regarding little old me that the entity sought to secretly murder and do away with. And you're witnessing the real-time evidence exposing a government trying to murder somebody, and they're still acting toward that criminal objective, and it's not going to happen. And they're still engaging in that criminal conspiracy. That's putting everybody else acting with them. That's Jason Isaac Fields, Tracy Banks, Tommy Allen Banks, Eric Corey Spencer. They're all going to federal prison. Speaker companies, Don Noggle, Heather Teal, Kimberly Fletcher, Selena Robledo, Carlo Lopez. They're all conspiring my death while they're gang stalking as an entity whose name I know, pursuant to a statewide P.O.C. That's it's 7:38 p.m. This is everything you're mindful of while the entity maintains plane after plane over me at a venue under a fake moon. These are the psychopaths that are demon possessed gang stalking. Securitas gang stalking, psychopathic pacing while they're wearing that badge, monitoring with the Ontario International Airport. That's pacing over them, not engaging in any constitutionally protected employment or employee-employer relationship. They are gang stalking as a corrupt company. They're just like Starbucks. They're just like Grocery Outlet. They're just like OMNITRANS. They're just like Southwest Airlines. You name the company. Securitas is gang stalking in the United States, I believe. They are international. They're monitoring. And this is a demon pacing wearing a Securitas badge, doing so while stalking in the path while evidence is being uploaded to the internet. This is the entity that's doing the same thing using planes. So this is just a demon that's on foot, pacing. It's 7:43 p.m. This is federal stalking on the video of the internet. I'm uploading onto YouTube right now at 7:44 p.m. Those will be published momentarily, and the podcast is coming as well, including that video documentation. It's 224 North Euclid Avenue, where Securitas is a gang stalker, a corrupt business that's sharing in the conspiracy to murder, exposing public corruption, and the entity that profits off of targeting American citizens, profits off of conspiracy to murder, profits off of this sex trafficking ring amongst children. All right, it is 7:44 p.m. P.O.C. 98660J3. Sharing in the terrorism that the demons that are stalking you, they're stalking you and keeping you under surveillance in order to murder you. And this is what the demons are doing while they're stalking with light. This is what a whole population, as you are understanding, is doing under a fake sun. These are people that are hunting down one person together. These are demons, and they're doing so under business names such as Starbucks, Ramada by Wyndham, Economy Inn, OMNITRANS Public Transit Agency, Southwest Airlines, the City of Ontario, etc. And they're doing so in furtherance of murder. All right, so at Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue, demons molesting with impossible light while you're down the street. Your headlights are not touching my body. You're a demon and you're co-conspiring murder while you're stalking. DF57J88, a paper plate on a black BMW by a male who was stalking by going to Starbucks, who was also gang stalking. Starbucks in particular at 507 North Euclid Avenue. It's 9:11 p.m. That's the terrorism inherent to a demon possessed. Their condition is relevant, legally relevant, to an entity that is stalking as a population. That's inherent to, while one person is stalking you, trying to murder you, that's terrorizing. While the government is doing it, it is domestic terrorism. While they are demon possessed, that is terrorism, domestic terrorism. And the government has the audacity to do it with gang stalking immigrants who need to be deported. That's exactly what's happening. That's why it's happening, by the way. It's happening for many reasons with regard to what was exposed years ago. And you will continuously be deported. 9DRU743. The government's targeting, that is conspiring the death of American citizens while bringing immigrants into this country. And you're breeding terrorism. This is what the United States government is, in betraying American citizens, is engaging in and profiting from. License EG 17L15 paper. That's the ultimate betrayal by your own government, in case you don't understand that. License 8TGJ280. License 9LDW768. It's P.O.C. This is surveillance. Everything that's happening in Ontario around is relevant to surveillance. This isn't traffic, and these are psychopaths that are stalking somebody who was simultaneously blaring the bullhorn on the top of the mountain, not just blowing a whistle. And that's letting you know about their mental illness. That's letting you know the ongoing concerted conduct of as a government. That's letting you know about the investment in what is already a lost bet. You lost, so I don't know what you think you're doing, but all you're doing is letting the federal government know how this whole operation works and what's wrong with you as you engage in it, and what you could not possibly be doing accidentally, coincidentally, ignorantly, and you're going to be prosecuted accordingly. License 7BGT489, license 8LDV946, GLORIA'S, COCINA, this is gang stalking. These demons park their vehicles outside. Remember, the Ontario Police, this entity that's monitoring online, wanted to interfere with my constitutional right to get a hotel room. These demons place their vehicles where they're located with regard to where it is that I sleep, where it is that I slept before, with regard to stalking with light, and GLORIA'S COCINA's is sharing in that. 9LWM959. By the way, GLORIA'S COCINA's at what is D Street and Euclid Avenue is also under the fake sun, engaging in the pattern of conduct. Any gang stalking immigrants, in other words, that owns this business, that's not keeping you in the U.S. Any gang stalking immigrants engaging in what is targeting as you're being documented, that's deportation, in case you don't understand how that works. 25917F2. These are demons that are stalking in the path. And they're stalking with all the demons that are engaging in pacing up and down Euclid Avenue. This is surveillance. And these are the millions of people that are together conspiring the death of an American citizen. And it's no longer happening with regard to some secrecy. There's no secrecy here. I'm exposing it in real time. And you need to know that every politician, every celebrity is engaging in this ongoing bet to kill somebody, and doing it with regard to it's satanic, so it's a sacrifice. It's conspiracy to murder, so it's a federal offense with regard to the government's engagement in it. That's how you're going to prosecute the demonic activity of a corrupt public entity. 63007C4. It's P.O.C. While you're gang stalking, you are engaged in the criminal conspiracy to commit murder, and that's exactly how you're going to be prosecuted as the domestic terrorist that you are. You're also a violent sex offender. 7NIX425. And this is the entity that everywhere that I go, every establishment is engaged in that P.O.C. That's why the entity goes to the extent to stalk within a whole environment, which you see with regard to the documentation of a fake sun, which you see with the documentation of impossible light. And then, again, the impotent engage in what the intellectually impotent engage in what is still stalking in that manner. And you're supposed to forget that you saw Engineer Light shooting like a laser while they were driving by 30 seconds earlier. This is the entity that's engaging in what is stalking under a fake sun on the same street, like that's different, like you're not engaged in that pattern of conduct at nightfall. Well, the entities engaged in this pattern of conduct with the gang stalking Ontario police, who keep a fake sun over me while they exhibit mental illness, so it's no longer hidden for you to see, while they fly in circles over me, exhibiting, again, mental illness while they're pacing around and around over somebody that they are stalking with regard to obsession with her genitalia, and while they're engaging what is listening in real time with regard to evidence that's going to be used against them, and they're engaging in that P.O.C. while they are stalking someone that they have conspired to murder by evidence of gang stalking as a police department. That is your criminal acts in furtherance of the conspiracy to murder. You're going to federal prison. The entity is engaged in this while the San Bernardino County Housing Authority has a demon. I went through that whole neighborhood, recall the record, because they're gang stalking right now. This is impunity while the demon possessed at those facilitating venues all around the housing authority. I went in particular on purpose and documented all the people, their license plates, living around the housing authority where they are at night, stalking with the demons that are aiming light in that parking lot. That's a government building. It's open Monday through Thursday. It's certainly not open at 9:15. This is why gang stalking establishments, no matter what your business hours are, that's why they're going to be prosecuted, because that's exactly what the gang stalking entity does, and that's mental illness that's shared by the demons whose license plate I just read. This is criminal conduct that the demons engage in together. Okay, so the entity that's stalking with planes, The entity that's stalking with helicopter, they're acting with the psychopath that's stalking in the night, lurking with light perfectly aimed at the bench where I'm sitting at 415 North Euclid Avenue, where GLORIA'S, COCINA's, and the demons engaging in gang stalking at that venue park their vehicles around, while the demons of the city of Ontario, all these psychopaths sharing in the conspiracy to murder, are pacing, that is stalking on the roads and the highways, and the entity is doing so at nightfall while you're stalking with light is the outward demonstration of mental illness. Okay? Those are psychopaths, and this is what, again, Gavin Newsom is engaged in, what is conspiring the murder of an American citizen. They're doing so while government establishments like San Bernardino County Housing Authority is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. That's letting you know what the mayor and the governor is engaging in. What the mayor and the governor is not ignorant about. Are not ignorant about. The entity is doing so at the San Bernardino County Human Resources Department, the TAD office. Yeah, the governor is engaged in this criminal conspiracy to murder American citizens through a satanic, that is a malicious pattern of conduct, where you're not associating the government with what is a random murder, or what you're supposed to think is a random murder, by somebody who brought it on themselves because they're a drug addict or a prostitute, or they're a runaway, all right, or they're some troubled soul. No, they've been targeted. And the government, and including specifically the governor. Right now, this is Gavin Newsom who's engaged in this criminal conduct. And I've been documenting Gavin Newsom since 2018, by the way. I've been documenting and exposing him since 2018. The entities engaged in an ongoing criminal pattern of conduct. Gavin Newsom directly engaged in what is kidnapping me with the intent to obstruct justice. Gavin Newsom engaging in what is that pattern of conduct with the San Bernardino County, with the city of Ontario, the San Bernardino courthouse. Those demon-possessed, gang-stalking, corrupt judges are doing so with the knowledge and the blessing, if you will, of Gavin Newsom, who places demons who are not in a position of actually being a judge, participating in a fictitious prosecution. It's not a coincidence that Gavin Newsom placed them, that is Shannon Faherty, in a position as an actual judge when she engaged in kidnapping in 2020. Gavin Newsom, after she engaged in that kidnapping by participating in a fictitious prosecution, that's a kidnapping by a court. A fictitious prosecution is a kidnapping by the government, okay? The entity is engaging in this, and Shannon Faherty, shortly after, she's engaged in what is the January 2020 kidnapping through a criminal a malicious iteration of the abuse of the criminal justice system, by as though she's engaged in an actual arraignment. She's engaged in surveillance by wearing a robe and sitting on a bench. Shannon Faherty is not even an actual judge when she is engaging in a fictitious prosecution with knowledge and intent. She's fully engaged in that criminal system. That's gang stalking, by the way, at a sophisticated level, air quotes, in the courts. And she's then given a position of judgeship. She's promoted by this demon, Gavin Newsom. That's not a coincidence. That's not ignorantly happening. This is while the entity then engaged in what is kidnapping, which I remained subject to in 2020 until April of 2020. And I'm documenting at Woodside Senior Apartments in the end of April 2020, the entity maintaining an ongoing fictitious case where you didn't even have a real a district attorney. They made up the name pursuant to kidnapping by Jason Knight and the Lester Keys. While the Ontario police are gang stalking now, you're not engaged in any lawful arrest, especially when you're making it up and you're stalking me everywhere. That was a kidnapping that Shannon Faherty participated in. Shannon Faherty belongs in federal prison. And Gavin Newsom is fully engaged in this kidnapping that I've been subject to, while the state of California has been targeting via the demons of the Ontario Police Department and San Bernardino County Sheriff and the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. That's how that whole system operates, by the way. So when you have somebody stalking at the San Bernardino County Housing Authority, in perfect alignment, that's a demon stalking in the path, which they're all doing while the fake sun remains over me during the day. Big picture. This is what they're doing at night. This is what they're doing as an entity. GLORIA'S, COCINA's has demons parking on the sidewalk with regard to stalking with light. While demons are aiming light in my path, this is terrorism that Gavin Newsom is engaging in. Understand how this system works, and then understand how you're able to prosecute with regard to how the criminal conspiracy to target someone that you're planning to murder, how that is prosecuted under existing federal law. Those that understand law, you know the definition, the legal definition of a conspiracy, what is required to establish the conspiracy expressly, impliedly, and then also to prosecute. And the conspiracy itself is distinct from the crime committed. This is the entity that's engaging in what is attempted murder already, and this is the entity that's engaging in conspiracy to murder while they're gang stalking. They are gang stalking, okay? This is the P.O.C. It is currently 9:20 p.m. This is the entity that's gang stalking with the demons that are celebrities, the demons that are politicians, that are sharing in an ongoing system, organized crime of murdering people. That's what I'm exposing, okay? How American citizens that don't have evidence, that don't have the wherewithal, that don't have the skill set, that don't have the protection, all right? These demons that are using witchcraft, these demons that have a whole bunch of money and they think that they can pay to have somebody taken off, they can pay to have some practitioner make somebody disappear, they think that they can pay to have somebody spiritually attacked by demons and make you lose your mind, and in the physical creating the illusion of your being actually mentally ill by you accusing strangers of stalking you. This is the system of gang stalking. That's the purpose of it. They're combining it with the practice of witchcraft. And your evidence of that, of your knowing, your knowledge that I'm telling you the truth, is the evidence of the fake sun. That's demonic. It's entirely supernatural and impossible to naturally be the case. And everybody that lives in the state of Florida can testify to that. All right? The entity's engaging in this pattern of conduct, and this is what the state, that is the governor of Gavin Newsom, his criminal conduct, the criminal conduct that's occurring under his watch is shared with the governor of Nevada. Because in August of 2024, that's the same time of year right now, by the way, I go to Nevada, and the entity kept the fake sun for the entire route. The governor of Nevada is engaging in what is criminal summoning, targeting me through the demons of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, demons under a fake sun engaging in a traffic stop. That's prosecutorial suicide. Okay, you are literally telling the federal government, I'm gang stalking. We're just like California. Add us to the roster. This is relevant to also federal jurisdiction that the feds have as you go from state to state, showing you the pattern of conduct. But it's also inherent because it's federal stalking under Title 18. That's jurisdiction by the federal government. The entity that's engaging in gang stalking through the government, you already have jurisdiction as the feds. The entity's engaging in this nonetheless, and you're mindful of all the evidence that's already sitting there. I've put it on the record. All I'm doing is helping you remember and recall. Actually, what it is that I'm doing, I'm showing you what to do with the evidence that I've already given you. I'm showing you what to do with the tools you already have. You already have it. You have all of it. It's sitting on the record. There is no demon-possessed witch that can use any sort of witchcraft that will ever supersede the hardcore, tangible evidence of targeting by the government that's targeting in order to murder people. And because of the Ontario Police Department's engagement in that, understand it's exposing the governor. It's exposing every mayor. It's exposing every city. Exposing every resident of the state of California. And that's exposing them as, first of all, co-conspirators to murder. And they're doing so as demons. And this is demonic activity. The demon-possessed are engaging what are murdering people through a whole organized crime. And this is no unsupported, unsubstantiated conspiracy theory at all. While you're shopping in the grocery store in Engineer Light, you're gang stalking. And you're an unintelligent one as well. 8HBB447. You're a whole fool. Everybody's looking at the body of evidence while you're standing there staring at a bar of soap like nobody sees you. Everybody sees you, and everybody sees your mental illness as well. Everybody sees it. Okay? And you have conspired against the wrong person. You've conspired against the wrong person. The entity's engaged in this pattern of conduct, and it is exposing the politicians. It's exposing the governor. It's exposing the mayor. You don't have any coincidences here. And Gavin Newsom has specifically come down to this part of town and put demons like Shannon Faherty in positions of judgeship. That is graduating her as she engaged in kidnapping in 2020. Shannon Faherty's going to federal prison. Anybody that engaged in kidnapping, which is going to be how domestic terrorism in the United States is going to be dealt with, because the government thinks that it can operate a corrupt shadow version of the criminal justice system or the system at all, any iteration of the system, and get away with it. No, you'll be locked up with every other sex offender, with every other rapist, with every other white collar criminal. Okay, with every other pedophile, you'll be locked up right along with them. Because this is what the government is doing. It's currently 9:25. While the planes are taking off over the Ontario Town Square, this is the common sense you're engaging in. This is the common sense that you're listening to. The common sense that you are utilizing when you are witnessing evidence of Alan D. Wapner. And these are the extent to which the entity engages in, because they want me to stop talking about what the demon-possessed are psychopathic and delusional. Never will it ever end up in me stopping. If I was going to stop, then Jason Knighton wouldn't be going to federal prison. And he's going to federal prison. And there's absolutely nothing. The Ontario police could have stopped stalking last year. Those fools didn't. And Jason Knighton was still going to federal prison. He's going to federal prison, and there's absolutely nothing that the entity can do, including stalking by the Ontario International Airport. while I walk north up Euclid Avenue, why are the planes still amplified in volume as I'm farther away from the Ontario Town Square, where they want you to be a fool and think that taking off from the airport includes hovering over that property that also has the fake sun rising and setting there, and that you're going to even hear it or even see it. While I'm farther away from that property, you're hearing the same audible activity that's pursuant to the same stalking by the entity that's gang stalking under the watch of Gavin Newsom, who has engaged in what is promoting demons that participated in kidnapping, and Gavin Newsom is directly engaged in what is targeting me and conspiring my murder. While the city of Ontario, the gang stalking government, the gang stalking population are sharing in a statewide pattern of conduct, which is shared by the state of Nevada. The August 2024 documentation is a tool that you already have in your belt, federal government. What the governor of the state of Nevada is sharing in a criminal pattern of conduct, which is nationwide. That's why I can go to Nevada and that seamless, ceaseless pattern of conduct is underway, because that fake sun in August of 2024 never removed itself from being over my vehicle through my window, which is not going to be over Economy Inn, ever. It's not going to be over Economy, and nor is it at the same time. Nor is the sun sitting over one roof all day long, rising and setting there, and then also dynamic as I drive from state to state. That's the evidence that's going to disband the Ontario police and putting Jason Knight in federal prison, and every other kidnapper that wants to be that is Satan, that wants to appear as a police officer when Satan is nothing other than a pedophile, other than a thief, other than a liar. That's what Satan is, and it's calling itself the Ontario Police. They're done, and they've been done. This is what I'm stating, the stupidity that I capture with them stalking in a helicopter. They're fools. The entity is engaging in this conduct, and it is shared by the state of Nevada. The Gavin Newsom of Ontario, of California, is sharing with the governor of Nevada. And I'll go ahead and let's go ahead and publish that name right now. Because this is how precise my evidence is. This is how detailed the evidence is as detailed as the demon-possessed are. They're not intelligent, but their precision with regard to stalking with activity, that's because they're demons. That's not a matter of intelligence. That's a matter of psychosis. That's a matter of obsession. That's a matter of demonic activity, okay? The governor of Nevada, whose criminal activity sits on the record, and it's relevant to prosecuting the state of California and exposing Gavin Newsom as the domestic terrorist, the enemy of the United States that he is. The enemy of the Constitution, the enemy of American citizens who are victims, unsuspecting victims, to this system that I'm exposing. While you have these little pissant demons in Ontario gang stalking. All right. It is currently, and excuse my French, but this is the disdain that I have for what are bullies. And bullies are nothing other than cowards. Bully is not a big word. You're not strong when you're stalking in a helicopter. That's not a show of some sort of formidable adversary. That's somebody that is actually very, very frightened regarding what it is, the authority that I speak with, and my knowledge and my ability to articulate it to you. Because they can't depict me as some barefoot, pregnant, ignorant, ghetto Bambi from around the way who's addicted to BBLs and fellatio on the internet. They can't do that, and it doesn't work. And none of those stereotypes are actually effective. You only feed into that if you're listening, giving ear to Satan. Satan is a liar, and he hates you. And your race, the color of your skin, has absolutely nothing to do with your value. It's actually a mark of what is the glory of God. It is only Satan and those who are deceived by him that would even give in to the irrational and illogical doctrine of racism. And by the way, all these so-called racists, they're obsessed with this black woman. They're obsessed with this black woman's vagina. They're hostile because they can't falsely depict effectively the character of this black woman who is prosecuting all of them, of all races, by the way, including the demon-possessed, gang-stalking African Americans who do not care anything about black lives. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as a black life. This ignorance that's catching on, okay, stop listening to it. They're demons and they're gang stalking, and they create catchphrases, and if you don't use any brain power, then you'll fall for it. But by the way, they don't even care about these so-called black lives. These black-faced demons in California are gang stalking with these corrupt law enforcement agencies. They commit murder of other black people together. And that's why I am, under all circumstances, the perfect candidate to have targeted. Because first of all, I don't fall into any of those stereotypes. And second of all, I could not care less about what a gang-stalking pedophile thinks. They can't even process 5th grade level science where the sun doesn't sit over one address all day long. Do you think I care about what you think? You're a puppet of Satan. You're a sex offender. You're obsessed with the genitalia of another person. You will get no respect from me. None. You're a psychopath stalking with light. You have Looney Tune brain. You're crazy. You're bat poo crazy, as a matter of fact. You're out of your mind. Your opinion doesn't matter. Okay? That's the reality. The entity is engaging in what is spreading racist ideals in order to cause everybody else to be ignorant as well. Understand, that's what Satan does. Satan is a fool. He wants everybody else to be stupid with him. Don't fall for it. Do not fall for it. The Nevada governor, who is being exposed while the state of California is engaged in gang stalking, because in the natural environment, the state is never going to be under the sun anywhere in Ontario, while it's at this time of year remaining over me at the Courtyard by Marriott. It's remaining over me on the roads and the highways while the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department are gang stalking in the way in which you know that they do. Stalking in the path while they're looking the opposite direction, like psychopaths. Stalking somebody looking the opposite direction. While you're stalking with light looking the opposite direction, they're going to get the straitjackets that they need. They've been exposing their own mental illness, and they're going to be in the straitjackets that they want innocent American citizens who are perfectly sane to be subject to. No, you're going in those straitjackets. You're going in those padded rooms. You're going to be adjudicated as mentally unstable, as a threat to the public. In fact, as a domestic terrorist, a national security threat. That's what's coming. That's what's coming. And that's actually what you are. And that's actually what's wrong with you. While you're gang stalking with your newborn babies, while you're gang stalking on the job, while you're gang stalking using planes and helicopters, you have nothing else to do with all of that money and all those resources? Okay, well, the appropriate use of the criminal justice system is going to help you figure that out. They're going to help you figure that out. It's 9:32 p.m. The entity is molesting with light at the Ontario Luxury Apartment, downtown luxury apartments at 320 North Euclid Avenue, where they're gang stalking as an apartment complex. And you also know that because the fake sun is over me, even at that venue in the morning and again in the afternoon and in the evening, where there would never be any sun in the state of Nevada. But I documented it there already, even at the same time of year. But even if it wasn't in August of 2024, anything outside of let's see, in the winter of 2024, guess what? You're only giving and taking away an hour. And that will never reconcile for the distance. And that will never reconcile with regard to the clear maintenance of the fake sun for the duration of the day. And how are you reconciling what's over my head in Las Vegas, Nevada? Oh, you can't. Neither can NASA. There's the evidence of your mental illness, i.e. your malice, your maniacal psychopathic disorder, and the entity that is conspiring murder while demons practice witchcraft, okay? The entity is engaging in this, and the Nevada governor is Joseph Michael Lombardo, and he's been in office since 2023, so he was targeting me in the state of Nevada in 2024, okay? The entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct, and Joseph Michael Lombardo's criminal engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring as a corrupt governor is competing with Gavin Newsom's criminal engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring as you get to a macro level with analyzing the states that are targeting American citizens, as I'm exposing it in Ontario, California, and juxtaposing it with what's going on in Las Vegas, Nevada, and en route to Las Vegas, Nevada, where the sun is never going to sit at the OVITT Family Community Library on Euclid Avenue, off of Euclid Avenue, from sunrise until sunset, like the record shows, from sunrise until sunset, when it's remaining over my vehicle, which I documented because Satan is a liar. Satan is a liar, and it was relying on Satan's identity, Satan that identifies itself as a superior court, or as an appellate level court, or as a supreme court in the state, or as a police department, or as a sheriff's department, or as a courthouse, or as a judge, or as a district attorney's office, or as a family member, or as a neighbor, or as a company business like Starbucks, bearing false witness, lying, while the gang members say that it's X, Y, and Z. And the ordinary targeted individual that's being bullied, they're the ones that are depicted by that are targeted by that system. That's why you're going to federal prison. That's why you're going to be depicted as the mentally ill person that you actually are, based on your own criminal activity. How about that? Providing evidence of your mental illness. And this is the entity that conspires murder. That's why Starbucks is gang stalking. They're conspiring murder. That's why the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking. That's why Joseph Michael Lombardo in Nevada is targeting, as I documented in 2024, in furtherance of the conspiracy to murder, which is the U.S. government's pattern of conduct, where surveillance in the United States is very real. And amongst this surveillance system that is unconstitutional and also inhumane. The entity is conspiring by targeting American citizens who are kept under surveillance by their own population, their so-called brothers and sisters of this country. These are demons that are domestic terrorists conspiring. This is the significance of your own gang, your own family being a bunch of gang members targeting you, lying on your character. And all of those lies, all those unintelligent imps, they can't even formulate an effective lie. They're going to federal prison. Not only because they're poor liars that never counted on the federal government being legitimate and prosecuting it, they didn't count on that part. They counted on the corruption. That's how you know also there's corruption. Because you can lie as a police department, you can target as a police department and a sheriff's department and a courthouse, and you're counting on nobody ever exposing that. The entity is engaging in all manner of exposing itself, in addition to the P.O.C. You have the evidence of targeting in the environment. You have the entity that's engaged in all manner of deviating from the ways in which the court, the police department, the sheriff's department are supposed to operate under existing laws. They're clearly deviating from that in the specific environment, pursuant to a pattern of conduct in every regard, showing that they're targeting. Targeting is synonymous with what is surveillance. And they do this to murder people. And it's shared by celebrities. It's shared by politicians like Gavin Newsom and Joseph Lombardo. Yeah, Joseph Michael Lombardo, the governor since 2023. So he was targeting me, keeping me under surveillance in the state of Nevada while I am driving to that state. And then this is exposing all the demons in Ontario, all the demons in California, Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, who are going to federal prison, amongst many, many others. Okay, where's the sun over Paul Leon's Ontario City Hall at 303 East B Street while it's remaining over me while I'm en route to the state of Nevada? Because it's not happening at the same time. Where is the Ontario Police Department having the sun in the natural environment if they're not cockroaches stalking as a whole police department? Their police station is a literal crime scene. Are you kidding? You're being disbanded. They're engaging in what is that pattern of conduct under a fake sun that's remaining over me while I'm in the state of Nevada. Well, I'm remaining showing you that could not possibly be the sun over the Ontario Police Department. That's a fake sun, proving that the Ontario Police Department is targeting, including at their Ontario Police Station. You're not even using the facility that you have with regard to being a law enforcement agency within the confines of the law. And you're engaging in criminal activity everywhere that I document you, including by using helicopters. You're wasting millions of dollars on that, and Gavin Newsom is aware of it. This is built into the budget that Gavin Newsom is maintaining while he's telling you he's saving jobs, while they can't even afford to pay the bills that the state of California maintains because you're understanding billions of dollars is spent on criminal surveillance. Surveillance that is unconstitutional. Surveillance that is occurring unbeknownst to you. Surveillance that is shared by a civilian population that conspire the murder of American citizens who are not a part of it, who would never be a part of it, who would never compromise, and who will never be silent. You're not going to silence me. The more that you engage in trying to threaten in the physical or threaten in the spirit, be prepared to have your personal information exposed. Be prepared for it. Because that's exactly what these demons are trying to do. You're using your little ineffective witchcraft, these TV shows that you're on, the entity that's gang stalking while you're hostile because the celebrities are being identified. Be prepared. You're pedophiles. I will identify you by name as well. The entity is engaging in what is speaking to what is you're already defeated when that's what you're resorting to. When you're providing evidence that the police department that never is supposed to be suspected because it's bigger than me, this let you know what else is going on. They have open cases. There are other things that have happened with regard to the question of that particular police department in that state while they're targeting me. You've already forfeited. You've already lost. Okay, that's the entity that's engaging in that. While you're engaging in that, be prepared to have your identification published on the video of the internet. Be prepared to be exposed personally. If the entity is going to the extent to try to engage in some feckless threat, Satan has no authority. Satan has no person who's none of your witchcraft is working. None of your gang stalking tactics is working. Alan D. Wapner is being removed from office, and Alan D. Wapner is subject to a federal prosecution for conspiring the murder of an American citizen, which he unlawfully kept under surveillance. And he did so even while he was exposed. Speaking of how maniacal he is, conspiring with the government conspiring with gang stalkers like corrupt actors like Tracy Banks and those that have conspired to steal my property, my money, while the entity is trying to stop me from getting a hotel room so I can sit out and document these demons all night long and put it on the internet. And then they try to make it private online. This is the mental illness of the demons that are gang stalking, and it is including every single celebrity. They don't actually have talent. They channel demonic spirits. They sacrifice children. They have sex with children. They put it on the internet. And then they try to randomize it, make it anonymous. Oh, it's some random pedophile that's living in Oklahoma. No, this is what the system of California relies on. Sacrificing the innocent souls of children, traumatizing them, having sex with them, trafficking them. The demons of the Ontario Police Department are directly engaged in that. They're directly engaged in gang stalking, which you're not protecting anybody. You are hereby exposing them, incriminating them. And that's how the body of evidence of the P.O.C. works. That's why you're targeting in the first place, because you're engaging in surveillance. You're engaging in surveillance. And you're demons that are engaging in a very specific type of surveillance. All types are unconstitutional. It is currently 9:42 p.m. This is the entity that's targeting with planes where I'm at. That's the entity that's stalking with planes in furtherance of murder. The entity is engaged in an unabated program of psychological torture pursuant to the ongoing conspiracy to murder that person that they are psychologically torturing. This is how cold-blooded Gavin Newsom is. The demon-possessed gang-stalking psychopaths that want you to think that they're separated by race so that black people in the state of California are never going to be associated with gang-stalking with a white-faced governor. That's an illusion. All right, it's an illusion with regard to the gang stalkers of the law enforcement agencies and the black community. That's an illusion. Satan doesn't have a race. Satan is using the people of the state of all races. And Satan is engaging in what is the satanic system of surveillance. And it is the spirit of mental illness. The mentally ill are in law enforcement. It is currently occupying the office of governor. It is occupying every office of mayor in the state of California. It is occupying the positions of those that are in the courts, engaging in this corrupt surveillance system while trying to double down as a criminal justice system, as a civil justice system with regard to privacy, the Constitution. They're engaging in surveillance in the courts. And you are a whole psychopath while you engage in that sort of duplicitous conduct. Those are psychopaths that engage in that. They are creating an illusion. They want to appear one way, and there's a whole system, an elaborate system that is entirely opposite of the way in which it's supposed to be structured and it's supposed to operate. And I'm going to prosecute based on how it's supposed to operate, because those laws remain valid and they remain an authority that you can rely on and enforce your rights upon, regardless of the fact that the government in California, that the U.S. government is engaged in a whole creation of an illusion behind those laws. They don't actually care about them at all, and neither does the officials that are engaging in this criminal system. And I want to be clear, the city of Ontario, San Bernardino County, is exposing Gavin Newsom. But I've documented way more than San Bernardino County and the city of Ontario. It's currently 9:44 p.m. All right, 10:15 p.m. GLORIA'S COCINA's. This is where the entity is stalking. Let me go ahead and give you a couple license plates really quickly. These are demons that engage in monitoring the evidence, and then they come around, molest you with light. This is what the demons do inside of the library. The iteration inside of the library is, as I engage in activity on my device that the demons are monitoring, they engage in stalking with noise. They engage in walking by where their shadow flings all across my desk. If you look at the images of my documentation of the impossible light inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, it's entirely demonic. My shadow comes in front of my person repeatedly. So as I'm walking, my shadow comes from behind me, and it repeatedly engages in what is literally pacing by my shadow as I'm in motion, and that's entirely impossible light activity, and it's demonic. And you're going to contrast with what Satan calls itself an OVITT Family Community Library. The OVITT family itself, all right, that's associated with a family of demons, and they're engaging in what is the criminal pattern of conduct in concert with the city of Ontario that is engaging in criminal monitoring. And inside of the library, where they're engaging in the same criminal system, keeping the evidence under surveillance, and demons are pacing by me inside of that library, stalking with noise. Psychopaths stalk you with ongoing amplified audible activity. Psychopaths stalk you with iterations
of impulsible light activity while psychopaths are keeping you under surveillance in order to murder you. And psychopaths do so as an entity in the name of the government, the state of California, the U.S. government. The Ontario Police Department are gang stalking, as I am reminding you, which I'll go ahead and attach to the playlist for today, August 31st, 2025, where Gavin Newsom is exposed in kidnapping me with the Ontario Police Department, as I am publishing evidence. Well, actually, it's already published, as I am attaching evidence that you already have access to. I'm showing you what to do with the tools that I've already given you with regard to prosecuting a government for domestic terrorism and understanding the legal theory and the federal legislation that's going to surround this corrupt system of demons that murder through an organized system, murder American citizens. And this is relevant to the Ontario police that use helicopter activity. These are the idiots that did that earlier at the OVITT Family Community Lab. At the Ontario Town Square. OVITT Family is right there as well. The entity sounds helicopter activity while I'm trying to reserve a hotel room while they're monitoring on the venue of the internet. License 8RHB159. The Ontario International Airport has no planes that are published regarding arrivals and departures. It's already published on the Google Drive as of 10:18 p.m. The entity is stalking over where I'm located. GLORIA'S COCINA's is gang stalking, while the entity is monitoring, again, GLORIA'S COCINA's. This is a third-party facilitating venue under the fake sun during the day, monitoring at nightfall as I'm documenting while the government is flying over that venue, gang stalking me and doing so with both the Ontario Police and the Ontario International Airport, 401 North Euclid Avenue, Ontario, California. Any gang stalking immigrants associated with this corrupt venue, this corrupt business, is subject to deportation. The entities engaged, the entire population in the city of Ontario is subject to deportation. The city is engaged in criminal activity, which, by the way, I believe Mr. Trump stated very clearly, immigrants that are engaged in criminal conduct, and I believe terrorism is going to check his box for that. Terrorism is more than enough with regard to deporting criminals who are pedophiles, who are murderers, who are stalkers, who are sex offenders, and domestic terrorists. And none of that is hyperbole or based on racism. You're subject to deportation. All right. The entity is doing so with the Ontario Police, and it's 10:02 p.m. where I am attaching the video documentation and a whole organized playlist for your viewing pleasure, for your ability to witness what is the unprecedented criminal conduct of the United States government that is conspiring the murder with the state of Nevada, that is maintaining that specific environment. August 5th and August 6th of 2024, you were looking at the entity keeping a fake sun far from Ontario, California. I came from Arcadia, Motel 6 that has the fake sun over me. In doing so, as I then leave that venue and the fake sun remains over my vehicle on the roads and the highways, totally incompatible with having the sun anywhere in Ontario, anywhere on Euclid Avenue, let alone while it's over me and the Ontario police are flying circles over my head while it's over me and the Ontario International Airport is flying, patrolling, using commercial planes, let alone while it's over me, and the entity is stalking with light activity as the city of Ontario demonstrates mental illness as exhibited through the elements of monitoring while a population is gang stalking an American citizen. This is where that population is proven to be engaging in a statewide P.O.C, which Joseph Lombardo is sharing with Gavin Newsom. As I point out this documentation on my device, the same gang stalking agency that is going to be disbanded, and deportation applies to the Ontario Police. So if there are any, and I hope that there are more than a few, any of that are working for the Ontario Police Department, you need to understand you're going to be deported. If you are a gang stalking, corrupt police department, having any immigrants that have been granted the privilege to be in this country, and then you engage in gang stalking with the Ontario Police, you're being deported. So anyway, the entity sounding helicopter activity pursuant to what is an intent to psychologically torture, harass, and threaten while I'm engaging in evidence, which I'm going to continue to collect and point out to the federal government how you use what I have already provided with regard to giving me justice that I am entitled to. The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct in the Ontario Police are stalking by helicopter. And where are they at? They're not flying in circles over the Ontario Town Square. They're flying in circles over me at 4015 North Euclid Avenue. Also where there are no published flights arriving nor departing from the Ontario International Airport, which would never include hovering over GLORIA'S COCINA's at 401 North Euclid Avenue. That's the Ontario International Airport targeting me. That is stalking mental illness
at the forefront of the prosecution of the corrupt government. These are demons who have long been in need of being defined as mentally disturbed, being defined on paper as a matter of an adjudication regarding their behavioral health issues that are a threat, a national security threat to other American citizens who have a right, a constitutional and human right, to not be targeted by a corrupt government that wants to steal from you, that wants to steal your identity, that wants to steal your ideas, that wants to remove you altogether because you're not a part of this satanic system, because they know that you would never participate in it, because you represent a threat in that manner, because they want to engage in monitoring your genitalia and then want to do away with you while they practice their witchcraft. This is something that the government, the United States government, is engaging in while they're gang stalking through the corrupt conduct of the city of Ontario. The videos that you're going to look at exposing Joseph Michael Lombardo and Gavin Newsom is regarding targeting that I'm subject to in the state of California while the fake sun remains dynamic, moving over me, over my vehicle, while I'm in operation of my vehicle. And this entity that is conspiring my murder is stalking me on the freeway. Doing so while I'm driving a dangerous machine is also in furtherance of the intent to commit murder. There are no car accidents amongst an entity that's engaging in surveillance. They're not car accidents. This is how an entity is engaging in what is fraud, insurance fraud. The insurance companies are sharing in the pattern of conduct. Every business, that includes insurance companies, are engaging in surveillance, and they engage in a whole system of fraud where the entity engages in what is planning to collect money from insurance policies, insurance companies that are engaged in that fraud as well. Okay, they make money as corrupt businesses, not only gang stalking, but engaging in insurance fraud amongst a system of surveillance where they are able to engage in stalking with simultaneity to my minor movement, engaging in monitoring and stalking with activity with regard to what I'm doing on my device. They're engaging in what are collisions on the freeways, on the roads and the highways where surveillance is underway as well, where these demons know with regard to every minute movement, and they're also engaging in intentional collisions with regard to collecting insurance money, and the insurance companies share in that. This is relevant to the insurance fraud that Tracy Banks and the gang stalkers in my fake friend and family group have engaged in. Having insurance policies on me, they did so in furtherance of murder, conspiring my murder. Those very policies are evidence of their plot to murder me, while Gavin Newsom is maintaining a whole operation of surveillance, which the Ontario police are engaging in. This is relevant to the entity that has ever lied about my having died already. The entity engaged in what is lying about my being very much alive, but while being kidnapped. That's how they're able to make me quote unquote disappear. While the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, the Ontario Police Department, the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court were engaged in kidnapping. They did lie about my being dead already, and then engaging in what is stealing my identity, acting like you're me. By the way, the demon that is posing as me doesn't even look like me. And if you heard them speak, they don't even sound like me. They don't conduct themselves, nothing similar whatsoever. That is, however, the criminal activity of the same entity that has conspired my murder. They've already proven that they've been planning to murder me, including while the Ontario police is stalking. As a whole agency, having nothing else to do, invested in what I'm doing, what hotel room I'm reserving, what's going on with my genitalia in every bathroom in the city of Ontario. And this is shared with the state of Nevada, where Joseph Michael Lombardo engaging in the same criminal system. And while I look up that video evidence, which is August 5th and August 6th of 2024, I will attach it to the podcast today for August 31st, 2025. This is time of year analysis. This is also relevant to time of day. August 31st, 2025, August 5th, 2024, the sun is not going to be at both locations. There's only one sun. And the sun is never going to remain over one street in any location, anywhere. That's not the sun. The sun's in constant movement. Okay, per NASA. Okay, per what are those that are teaching 5th grade science? That's what's in science books that we study. This is what we've been told about the environment, and the entity's gang stalking in an environment that directly contradicts all of that, which is the direct evidence of targeting as you prove it in an environment. So in Las Vegas, Nevada, when demons are in the path, driving a commercial vehicle with their hazard lights on and the fake sun's directly over the top of my head, now you're understanding the mental illness exhibited by Paul Leon's employees, the municipality that's stalking, engaging in surveillance, not engaging in what is cleaning the gutters and the sidewalk and engaging in landscaping under the fake sun in Ontario. That's understanding the system of surveillance, and it's the outward demonstration of mental illness. It gives you context. You get context. The sun's not over both cities at the same time, over me in both cities at the same time in the same time of year. Neither would the sun remain over your vehicle, remain over you, whatever it is that you travel in from state to state for the entirety of that travel. This is clear targeting from state to state, where Gavin Newsom and Joseph Lombardo know exactly who I am while surveillance is underway in California and Nevada, and my death has been conspired. And this is why you have the intellectually impotent demons of the Las Vegas metropolitan gang stalking under a fake sun, engage in criminal summoning, targeting and harassing me. You go to federal prison for that. You want to engage in a traffic stop while you're gangs? Oh, you want to go to federal prison. That's where you want to go. The entity engages in targeting as law enforcement agency, and you are very much, your life is under threat. That's an unlawful threat, and that is a threat that is surpassing what you are constitutionally protected from ever suffering. You're going to federal prison for that. The entity's keeping the fake sun on Euclid Avenue in Ontario, where the Ontario police are going to be disbanded with that very evidence. And then those fools engage in stalking. And what do? I put it right on the podcast. So you are mindful of the evidence that they are very much fearful of you witnessing. Look at August 5th, 2024. Look at August 6th, 2024. Because it's exposing public corruption amongst Joseph Lombardo and Gavin Newsom in every level of government in those states, Nevada and California, who are engaging in the criminal conspiracy to murder American citizens who are being gang stalked. It is referred to, with regard to incorporating the offenses pursuant to surveillance, federal group stalking and monitoring in violation of Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2. And this is underway by the government. And the people of the state are not private citizens. They're engaging in surveillance. And this changes everything. You're not a private citizen. You don't have any privacy. You don't live on private property. You're not engaging in private speech or private conduct. And you're going to be prosecuted for the malice whereby you're targeting an American citizen. You're going to be prosecuted for that. That's called malice, because they know that you don't know about surveillance. And so they're exercising rights that they don't have with regard to the engagement in surveillance. That's not a private property. And just because you can't spell Constitution and you don't know the legal implications behind not being private property because you're engaged in surveillance, that's also not a defense. You're going to be prosecuted for the malice inherent to gang stalking. All right. It is currently 10:29 p.m. The entity is engaging what is threatening and terrorism against myself while I am attaching evidence on the video of the internet where the city of Ontario, that is the state, is engaging in surveillance. OK, and these demons, again, license plate, molesting with light, doing so while they're engaging in monitoring with the state, 8RHB 159. They do the same thing pursuant to my vagina. They pull off on the side of the road outside of my hotel room. They drive around the turn circle crossing path while I'm inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. All right, they park outside of my apartment home at Alvarado Gardens. They fly over in helicopter over my apartment home when the entity is aware that my vagina is exposed, when I'm nude. Those are sex offenders. Okay? The entity is engaging in this as a matter of what is the state is the one that is stalking. The state is the one that's engaging in terrorism. The state is the one that's doing so with immigrants in the state of California. All right. This is the entity that's engaging with a surveillance while I'm attaching those videos. License 9CBY501 and license 8RHB159. Engaging in targeting while I'm attaching video documentation, which you're going to look at. It's relevant to what's going on today in Ontario on August 31st, 2025. It is exposing the entire state of California. It's exposing what's going on the East Coast, because you know that in the South, in Florida, that's not the natural environment either, where agencies like the Miami-Dade Police Department are engaging in what is exercised under the Constitution that they don't have. And you know better now, because you're aware of the specific environment where demons are engaging in surveillance and they like to wear police uniforms and operate with regard to authority and wanting to appear noble and having authority that they don't even have. And they're a bunch of closeted sex offenders, psychopaths, thieves, and criminals. And who are going to be subject to the same exact federal laws. If you're an immigrant that's been sworn in to to engage in law enforcement, be prepared to be deported. Immigrants in all areas are subject to deportation. This is domestic terrorism that is being attacked, that is being exposed, that is being prosecuted, that is being targeted. The domestic terrorists are being targeted, and you're being deported out of this country. Be prepared. Be prepared for it. Be prepared. Get your things in order, because you're getting out. You're getting the boot. You're getting out of this country. It is currently 10:31 p.m. This